Chapter 329. The Nine Dragons' Bloodline Roared to the Sky. Although the Nine Dragons' bloodline was only a dozen meters long, it looked very small in front of the bloody Flood Dragon. However, as the bloodline of the Nine Dragons roared, the bloody Flood Dragon suddenly stopped in the air. It looked at the bloodline of the Nine Dragons with fear in its eyes. The giant serpent's body began to tremble violently. It let out a roar and turned around to flee. However, it was too late. The Nine Dragons' bloodline roared, and a strong, devouring power burst out of its mouth. At the same time, the Nine Dragons' bloodline twisted its body like a flash of lightning. It instantly reached the top of the bloody Flood Dragon's head and shrouded it with a strong, devouring power. The bloody Flood Dragon was terrified. It kept roaring, and its huge body kept twisting. However, the Nine Dragons' bloodline steadily stopped at the top of the bloody Flood Dragon's head and kept bursting out its devouring power. Roar! The blood Flood Dragon roared as a Flood Dragon's soul was extracted from the body of the Flood Dragon that was condensed from blood. The first thing that appeared was the head of the Flood Dragon's soul. It kept roaring and wanted to shrink back, but it was useless under the devouring power of the Nine Dragons' bloodline. It was being extracted bit by bit. What's going on? What the hell is going on? An elder of the Mo family shouted in disbelief. Kill him! Kill him! The two elders of the Mo family gnashed their teeth and desperately urged the inscription formation to get rid of the Nine Dragons' bloodline and kill Lu Ming. Unfortunately, the huge bloody Flood Dragon was like a mouse meeting a cat when it encountered the Nine Dragons' bloodline. It did not dare to resist at all. The Flood Dragon's soul was constantly being extracted. Soon, more than half of the Flood Dragon's soul had been extracted. Boy, what are you doing? Why don't you stop? Stop right now. You're destroying the Mo family's 1,000-year plan. Do you know that? Stop right now. The two elders of the Mo family shouted hysterically. Ha ha, you two old dogs. You've lived for so long. Have you been living like dogs? Stop, and then use my life to complete the Mo family's 1,000-year plan? Have you fucking lost your IQ? And what's the Mo family's 1,000-year plan? What does it have to do with me? In my eyes, it's all trash. Lu Ming let out a long howl. The words of the two Mo family elders were simply too ridiculous. You are courting death. The two Mo family elders' shriveled faces flushed red, as if they were about to bleed from anger. They were the Mo clan's grand elders and were usually high and mighty. When had anyone dared to scold them like this? I'll kill this brat first, an elder of the Mo family roared. He temporarily stopped controlling the inscription formation and was about to attack Lu Ming. However, as soon as he stopped controlling the inscription formation, the old man in the pool of blood went berserk, and the underground cave began to shake. Damn it! The elder of the Mo family was unwilling, but he could only fly back to continue controlling the inscription array. Roar! At this moment, the Nine Dragons' bloodline let out an earth-shattering roar. Its devouring power suddenly increased, and the blood Flood Dragon's soul was pulled out. The Flood Dragon's soul roared again and again. Terrified, it struggled with all its might. No! Stop! The two elders of the Mo family roared. However, the Nine Dragons' bloodline opened its mouth and sucked the Flood Dragon's soul into its mouth, disappearing without a trace. The Nine Dragons' bloodline revealed a satisfied expression and flew back into Lu Ming's body. Damn it. Let go of the Flood Dragon's soul quickly. The two elders of the Mo family screamed crazily like ghosts. Let go? You think too much. Lu Ming sneered. Boom! At this moment, the underground cave began to shake violently. The pool of blood in the pool of blood surged violently. Clang! The sound of iron chains colliding violently rang out. Not good. Quickly suppress old monster Yen Quan. The two elders of the Mo family screamed in horror and desperately controlled the inscription formation to suppress the old man in the pool of blood. But bang! In the next moment there was an explosion. A figure soared into the sky from the pool of blood. It was an old man in his 60s. His face was covered with a long beard, and his body was extremely burly. He seemed to be more than 2 meters tall. The figure that was dozens of meters tall was not his real body, but a human figure condensed by true chi. Several iron chains as thick as an arm wrapped around the burly old man's body and extended out from the pool of blood. When the burly old man moved, the iron chains clanged. Not good. Yan Quan is about to break free. The two elders of the Mo family screamed in horror. Ha ha ha, the heavens are helping me. Mo family, today I, Yan Quan, swear that I will destroy your Mo family. The burly old man laughed maniacally. Kill him, quick! The two elders of the Mo family roared and gave up on controlling the inscription formation. A battle sword appeared in their hands, and they slashed at Yan Quan. The sword chi whistled and was extremely shocking. Peak of the 8th martial ancestor realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The two elders of the Mo family were terrifyingly strong. They were both at the peak of the 8th martial ancestor realm. A mere 8th martial ancestor realm wants to kill me? You overestimate yourself. Yan Quan laughed and waved his palms. Two terrifying palms struck out towards the two elders of the Mo family. Bang! Bang! With two explosions, the two elders of the Mo family screamed, and their bodies flew out like cannonballs. They crashed heavily into the walls of the cave and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Clang! Yan Quan waved his palms and caused the iron chains to collide. A total of 4 iron chains bound him. He was too strong. Even when he was bound by the iron chains, he was still able to injure the two elders of the 8th martial ancestor realm. His strength was terrifying. You want to bind me with a few pieces of scrap metal? Break! Yan Quan shouted, and a terrifying true chi burst out from his body as he pulled with all his might. Rumble! The entire cave shook violently, and the ground trembled, producing deep rumbling sounds. Not good. Yan Quan is about to break free. Run! The two elders of the Mo family were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They turned around and ran towards the exit. Break! Yan Quan suddenly shouted loudly. He grabbed one of the iron chains and suddenly pulled it. Clang! The iron chain that was as thick as an arm broke into 2. This was not an ordinary iron chain, but a rare black iron with inscriptions carved on it. However, it still broke with a single pull. You want to leave? Go and die! Yan Quan shouted. With a swing of his arm, a broken chain flew out and shot towards the two Mo family elders. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and it instantly caught up to the two Mo family elders. Block! The two elders of the Mo family roared, and each used their strongest move. However, the difference was too big. Bang! Bang! 2 rumbling sounds could be heard, and the two elders' attacks were destroyed. A section of the iron chain crashed into their bodies. Kacha! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The two elders of the Mo family screamed and flew out. They fell heavily on the ground and were no longer breathing. At this moment, the entire Mo family was in chaos. Just a moment ago, when Yan Quan broke the iron chain, the entire ground of the Mo family shook violently as though there was an earthquake. What is going on? Many disciples of the Mo family panicked. The patriarch of the Mo family and a few elders regarding the stone house. Other than them, there were a few more people. One of them was the young prince, Yin Jiufeng. Beside Yin Jiufeng, there were a few elders with powerful auras. At this moment, the patriarch of the Mo family's face changed drastically. Not good. There is a problem underground. Chapter 330. Quick! Gather the clan's experts and get ready. The Mo family patriarch roared. his voice echoing throughout the Mo family. Whoosh! Whoosh! One figure after another flew toward the Mo clan from every corner. They were all martial ancestor realm experts. As one of the top 10 families of the Een Moon Empire, the Mo family strength was not to be underestimated. Apart from the martial ancestor realm experts, there were also some martial Grand Masters gathering. In an instant, the front of the stone house was filled with figures. In the underground cave, break! Yen Quan roared, his genuine chi bursting forth like an ancient giant beast struggling. Clang! 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 3 crisp sounds were heard as the remaining 3 chains were broken by Yen Quan. Ha ha ha! After being trapped for more than 10 years, I'm finally free. Mo family, accept my revenge. Yen Quan laughed maniacally, his face revealing a sinister expression. After a while, he turned his gaze towards Lu Ming and Mo Ying. Swoosh! His figure moved and instantly appeared a few meters in front of Lu Ming and Mo Ying. Ah! Mo Ying cried out in fright and involuntarily took 3 steps back. Lu Ming did not move, but his pupils constricted. He held his spear in front of him, ready to fight. Ha ha, little girl, what are you afraid of? You saved me. Why would I make things difficult for you? Yen Quan grinned at Mo Ying. Following which, he looked at Lu Ming, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. Little brother, it's all thanks to you that I was able to escape this time. This is a huge favor and I have to repay it. However, now is not the time to talk about this. Let me exterminate the Mo family first before we talk about this. After speaking, Yen Quan laughed and strode towards the exit. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he said, "Let's go out too." He and Mo Ying followed closely behind the old man and walked out. When he passed by the corpses of the 2 elders of the Mo family, Lu Ming silently devoured the blood essence of the 2 elders. The 3 of them walked forward. Soon, they walked out of the underground cave and returned to the stone house. Boom! Yen Quan struck out with his palm, and the stone door of the stone house exploded. Shattered rocks flew everywhere, and a series of exclamations came from outside. Looks like they're all waiting outside. Great, I don't need to look for them. Yen Quan grinned, his eyes filled with killing intent as he strode out. Lu Ming and Mo Ying followed. As soon as he walked out of the stone house, Lu Ming's expression changed. Outside, there were hundreds of people densely packed together. All of them had strong auras. They were all experts. The weakest among them was a martial Grand Master. Yen Quan. Seeing the 3 of them, the Mo family's patriarch and several elders' faces changed drastically, and they cried out involuntarily. Set up the formation, quickly! An elder screamed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Their figures flashed wildly as at least a few dozen martial arts grandmasters flashed and formed a battle formation. At the front of the battle formation was the Mo family head and a few elders. Mo Ying, how audacious of you! How dare you release the devil suppressed by the clan? This is unforgivable. The head of the Mo family shouted. Mo Ying's delicate body trembled. They were the ones who deceived Mo Ying and wanted to use her life to refine the Dark Moon demonic leader. However, as soon as they came out, the head of the Mo family pinned the crime of releasing the devil suppressed by the Mo family on Mo Ying. How shameless! Patriarch, you lied to me. There is no ancestors' inheritance below. You want my life, Mo Ying said in a trembling voice. Shut up, little bitch. You're wrong. How dare you talk back? Kneel down and accept your death. The head of the Mo family shouted, not allowing Mo Ying to talk back. He was no longer as amiable as before. Mo Ying's face was pale, and her delicate body trembled nonstop. She bit her lips so hard that they bled, but she did not realize it. Originally, she still had a glimmer of hope for the Mo family, but now she was in despair. Ha, old man, you lied to your own disciple, saying that you're inheriting the ancestors' inheritance. In fact, You just want the life of a junior to refine the dark moon demonic leader. Even now, you're still so dignified. Are you a fucking dog? Don't you have any shame? Lu Ming laughed and pointed at the head of the Mo family. Little bastard, what did you say? How dare you talk to me like that? The head of the Mo family roared, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. What the fuck are you? Do I have to give you face when I speak? Don't flatter yourself. Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked at the head of the Mo family with contempt, as if he was really looking at a pile of dog shit. This kind of gaze almost made the head of the Mo family vomit blood. He was so angry that his body trembled nonstop. Ha ha ha, little brother, you've scolded well. The whole Mo family is a pile of dog shit, ha ha! Yan Quan laughed. Damn it, Lu Ming, you actually destroyed the refining of the dark moon demonic leader and ruined the plan of the Inua royal family. Even if you die 10,000 times, you can't make up for it. At this time, a scream filled with resentment sounded. It was Yin Jiufeng. Oh, isn't this the little prince? Why aren't you going home to drink milk? Do you want to be beaten again? Lu Ming curled his lips and said, this sentence almost caused Yin Jiufeng to suffer internal injuries. Lu Ming, if I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not a human. Yin Jiufeng shouted furiously. If I remember correctly, you also shouted like that last time. Why? Are you still a human? Lu Ming sneered. Ah, you kill him for me. Yin Jiufeng's face turned pale, and he almost exploded with anger. Kill. Behind Yin Jiufeng, 2 old men shouted and were about to pounce on Lu Ming. Who can you kill? Yan Quan shouted coldly and threw out a punch. Bang! Bang! The 2 old men exploded, and Yin Jiufeng screamed in fear. Under the protection of the remaining 2 old men, he retreated. Let's attack together and suppress old demon Yan Quan. The head of the Mo family roared. Suppress old demon Yan Quan. Everyone from the Mo family shouted. More than 30 martial ancestor realm experts formed a large array and charged towards Yan Quan. Good timing. Today, I'll settle the score with the Mo family. Yan Quan shouted and charged towards the Mo family. Kill. Yan Quan shouted, and his aura was shocking. He was like a demon god. He threw out a punch, and a dazzling fist force charged towards the Mo family. Lu Ming could feel that Yan Quan's aura was no weaker than the sect leaders of the 5 major sects in the Burning Sun Empire. He was at the limit of a martial ancestor and was known as a half-king. 100 sword array, kill. The Mo family did not dare to be careless. More than 30 of them joined forces, and their auras merged to form a huge sword that was a few hundred meters tall and slashed towards Yan Quan. Boom! The huge sword and the fist radiance collided, and there was a loud explosion. The entire Mo family shook violently, and some of the buildings nearby were blown into pieces by the shock wave. They were evenly matched in this exchange. Kill! Immediately, Yan Quan and the Mo family started fighting again. Kill! Kill this little bastard for me right now. Yin Jiufeng shouted. Shush! Shush! Behind Yin Jiufeng, the remaining 2 old men charged towards Lu Ming, and they exuded a powerful aura. 8th Martial Ancestor Realm. Chapter 331. Now let's see who can save you. Yin Jiufeng looked ferocious. However, there was a smile on Lu Ming's face. He stood there motionless. Roar! At this moment, there was a loud roar in the sky. A tall and burly figure fell from the sky and landed heavily between Lu Ming and the 2 elders, creating a large hole in the ground. Golden-eyed blood zombie. This tall figure was actually the golden-eyed blood zombie. I've finally arrived. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Just now, when he came out of the stone house, he noticed the abnormality of the demon suppression token and found that the golden-eyed blood zombie was in the vicinity of Su Tiancheng, probably looking for him. He was not surprised that the golden-eyed blood zombie could escape from the assassins of the Yin Moon Empire. The golden-eyed blood zombie had reached the early 9th level of the martial ancestor realm, and its body was like a diamond. If it wanted to escape, even a half-step king realm expert might not be able to kill it. When Lu Ming found that the golden-eyed blood zombie was nearby, he immediately used the demon suppression token to summon the golden-eyed blood zombie. He also deliberately chatted with Yin Jiu Feng to delay time until the golden-eyed blood zombie finally arrived. "Golden-eyed, kill them," Lu Ming ordered. "Roar." The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and pounced. Pum! Pum! In just one move, the two elders of the 8th level of the martial ancestor realm that Yin Jiu Feng brought flew back screaming. There was a claw wound on each of their bodies. Where the claw had clawed, the flesh and blood had disappeared, revealing the white bones. It was extremely horrifying. This scene was too sudden, and Yin Jiu Feng was stunned. Mo Ing, who was beside Lu Ming, was also stunned. She found that she could not see through Lu Ming at all. Since the first time she saw Lu Ming had brought her a series of surprises, since Lu Ming said that Qi was divided into yin and yang. In her opinion, Lu Ming was a mystery, an unfathomable mystery. Now, there were experts of the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm that obeyed him. "Monster, go, take the young master away," an elder roared. He wanted to rush over and take Yin Jiu Feng away, but it was too late. The golden-eyed blood zombie roared angrily and rushed out. He waved his claws, and the claw light slashed out like a few heavenly blades. Pucci! In just a few moves, the two old men were torn in half by the golden-eyed blood zombie. "Ah!" Yin Jiu Feng screamed in fright. His face was as white as paper, his body trembling. The 4 experts that his father had sent to help him had been killed, just like that, leaving him all alone. "It's your turn now." Lu Ming smiled at Yin Jiu Feng, but Lu Ming's smile in Yin Jiu Feng's eyes was more terrifying than the devil. Patriarch Mo, save me, save me." Yin Jiu Feng screamed in a hoarse voice, but the Mo family head didn't even look at him. What a joke. Save him? Right now, the Mo family was locked in battle with Yan Quan. They couldn't even take care of themselves, so how could they have the time to save him? "It seems that no one will come to save you." Lu Ming smiled again, walking step by step towards Yin Jiu Feng. "No, Lu Ming, don't kill me. My father is the Jinnan King. He has a lot of troops. If you kill me, you will also die, and Yin Jiu Feng screamed. "And what? Last time, I let you go because of the Mo family. This time, you want to use the Mo family to threaten me? And you have tried to kill me many times. How can I let you go?" Lu Ming's face finally turned cold. "No." Yin Jiu Feng screamed and turned to run. But Lu Ming flicked his finger, and a spear light shot out, piercing through Yin Jiu Feng's back. Yin Jiu Feng screamed, lying on the ground, screaming again and again, but he was not dead yet. Lu Ming walked over and squatted down to look at Yin Jiu Feng. "Save me, save me." Yin Jiu Feng struggled, blood flowing out of his mouth. "Save you? I will tell you another secret. Then you will not ask me to save you. I have another name, Tianyan." Lu Ming smiled faintly, whispering in Yin Jiu Feng's ear. "WH, what?" Yin Jiu Feng's pupils suddenly widened, revealing a look of despair. He growled, "Champion, champion." Before he could say the word Marquis, he had already died. The Burning Sun Empire's champion, Marquis Tianyan. There was no one in the Yin Moon Empire who did not know him. He had killed several powerful legions of the Yin Moon Empire. His name was known throughout the Yin Moon Empire. When Yin Jiu Feng heard that it was Tianyan, in despair he breathed his last. All around, the great martial masters of the Mo family looked at Lu Ming in horror, not daring to attack. Boom! Boom! Between heaven and earth, there was only the sound of Yan Quan and the Mo family's battle echoing. The battle between Yan Quan and the Mo family was still going on, and it was hard to tell who would win. It had to be said that the 100-sword battle formation set up by the Mo family was indeed powerful. With the combination of more than 30 martial ancestor realm experts and the Mo family's master's cultivation of the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm, they were actually able to fight Yan Quan to a draw. Roar! At this moment, the golden eye blood zombie growled beside Lu Ming, his eyes constantly looking in the direction of the stone house. You want to absorb the blood? Lu Ming understood what the golden eye blood zombie meant. The golden eye blood zombie was very eager for the dragon blood in the underground cave. Go, Lu Ming whispered. Swish! Receiving Lu Ming's order, the golden eye blood zombie rushed into the underground cave with a swish. On the other hand, Lu Ming stood still and watched the battle while refining the blood essence. Lu Ming's body had devoured the essence blood of several 8th-level martial ancestor realm experts. It was too thick. The essence blood was constantly converted into energy and refined into genuine qi. Lu Ming began to attack the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. Rumble. Soon, a dull sound came from Lu Ming's body. He had broken through to the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm. Just as Lu Ming broke through to the 4th level of the martial ancestor realm, the 9 dragons' bloodline suddenly roared and rushed out of Lu Ming's body, roaring to the sky. At the same time, the 9 dragons' bloodline's body shape rapidly changed. It was originally a python that was more than 10 meters long. Now it was rapidly growing longer and thicker. The scales on its body became more crystal clear. Then, claws grew out of the python's abdomen, just like dragon claws. 2 horns grew out of the top of its head. A dragon. This was the shape of a dragon. The 9 dragons' bloodline had evolved. After the 9 dragons' bloodline had devoured a shocking amount of essence blood and the dragon's soul, it had finally begun to evolve. From the python form, it had evolved into the dragon form. Roar! The dragon form of the 9 dragons' bloodline roared to the sky. The dragon's roar reverberated, and a bright silver chakra appeared on its body. Level 1 King class bloodline. Around them, the martial grandmasters and Mo-ing of the Mo clan were all dumbfounded. Even the Mo family's martial grandmasters and Yan Quan, who were in the midst of the battle, looked at Lu Ming in shock. The bloodline could evolve? From the mortal class to the king class? This was too shocking. It was simply unheard of. There were no records of this in the ancient books. This young man is too extraordinary. Chapter 332. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. The evolution of the 9 dragons' bloodline was too sudden. He could not control it at all. If it was possible, he would not have chosen to evolve his bloodline at this moment. All of you retreat quickly. Send this news to the South Protecting King and the royal family. This person is a demon. He must be killed. The head of the Mo clan roared at the martial Grandmaster Realm Warriors. A bloodline evolving, this was simply unheard of. It was too shocking. Since such a person was already an enemy, he could not be allowed to live. This was the Mo clan head's thought. Let's go. There were over 100 martial grandmasters rushing in all directions at this moment. Since that is the case, all of you will stay here. Lu Ming muttered, his eyes emitting a terrifying killing intent. The 9 dragons' bloodline must not be exposed. Although this place was very far away from the headquarters of the Heavenly Deity Palace, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the characteristics of the 9 dragons' bloodline were to reach Martial Monarch D, it would be a great disaster for him. These people had to die. Lu Ming soared into the sky. Behind him, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. A wriggling dragon that was 100 meters long was suspended above Lu Ming's head. Roar! The 9 dragons' bloodline roared the sky, and a strong devouring power burst out from its mouth. The strength of this devouring power was dozens of times stronger than before the evolution. The mouth of the 9 dragons' bloodline was like a black hole. A terrifying devouring power spread out, enveloping over 100 martial grandmasters. More than 100 warriors in the great martial mentor realm seemed to have been frozen in place. Then they revealed extremely terrified expressions. The power of my bloodline is flowing away. Not good. I feel like my essence blood is being sucked out. The 100 martial grandmasters let out terrified cries. Devour! A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he shouted softly. Roar! The 9 dragons' bloodline roared, and the devouring power in its mouth became even stronger. Following that, a terrifying scene occurred. Over 100 martial grandmasters. All kinds of blood vessels floated above their heads. These blood vessels let out a mournful wail and actually left their masters. They flew towards the 9 dragons' blood vessels and were swallowed by the 9 dragons' blood vessels. My bloodline power has been devoured. A blood-curdling scream rang out, but the next moment the scream abruptly stopped. This was because 9 drops of blood essence flew out from each person's body and were devoured by the 9 dragons' bloodline. More than 100 people were lying flat on the ground, no longer breathing. The scene was completely silent. Even the great battle between the Mo clan's martial ancestors and Yen Quan had temporarily stopped. Everyone stared at Lu Ming, dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with horror and disbelief. A single roar from his bloodline had actually devoured the bloodline power and blood essence of over 100 people. What kind of ability was this? He was simply a demon. Demon, you are a demon. Someone from the Mo family shouted. What demon? In my opinion, your Mo clan is the real devil. All of you deserve to die. Kill! Yen Quan roared as he charged towards the Mo family. The two sides once again engaged in a fierce battle. Mo Ing looked at Lu Ming in horror. I never thought that after the 9 dragons' bloodline evolved to the king level, its devouring power would be so terrifying that it could directly devour living people. Even Lu Ming himself was shocked. In the past, it could only devour the blood essence of those who had died in battle. Now that the 9 dragons' bloodline had evolved to the king level, it could even devour living people. Those martial artists were only martial masters. I wonder if it would be effective against martial artists above the martial ancestor realm? At the thought of this, Lu Ming cast his gaze towards the Mo clan's martial ancestor realm experts. Let's give it a try. Immediately, Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline, and the terrifying devouring power enveloped the Mo clan's martial ancestor realm experts. Immediately, some of the martial ancestor realm experts with lower cultivation levels trembled and their bloodline power became unstable. What kind of power is this? The martial ancestor realm experts roared as their genuine qi exploded wildly to resist Lu Ming's devouring power. It is more effective against martial artists below the 4th martial ancestor realm as it can affect the stability of the bloodline. It is also effective against martial artists above the 4th martial ancestor realm, but it is relatively less effective. In an instant, Lu Ming came to a conclusion. For martial artists with lower cultivation levels than him, it was still effective. It could affect the circulation of their bloodline, but it could not devour their blood essence and bloodline power like a martial grandmaster. It would be blocked. For martial artists with a higher cultivation level than Lu Ming, it was also effective, but the effect was relatively small. However, it was not to be underestimated. If his opponent's bloodline and blood essence were affected in a big battle, their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Be careful! At this moment, the Mo clan had roared. Due to the influence of Lu Ming's bloodline's devouring power, the Mo clan's 100-sword battle formation became unstable. Yen Quan seized the opportunity to attack fiercely and was at a disadvantage. The Mo clan will be destroyed today. Yen Quan roared as his attacks were like a tidal wave. Hold on. Yen Quan has been suppressed for more than 10 years and is heavily injured. This is only a temporary eruption. He won't be able to hold on for long. When he can't hold on any longer, it will be our time to counterattack. At that time, everything will still be under our control. The Mo clan head roared. Everyone from the Mo clan calmed down and used all of their strength to stabilize the situation. Yen Quan's face was somewhat gloomy. His situation was indeed as the Mo clan head had said. He had been suppressed for too long and suffered all kinds of torture. There were many hidden injuries on his body. Now, he was only using a secret technique to erupt with his peak strength. However, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Once the secret technique's duration was up, he would fall into a passive situation. Immediately, Yen Quan used all of his strength and attacked with all his might. Ha ha! Yen Quan can't hold on any longer. Just as I guessed, we can hold on. The Mo clan had laughed and revealed a joyful expression. Boom! At this moment, a huge explosion sounded from the ground behind the stone house, following which a blood-colored pillar of light shot out from the ground and pierced through the clouds. Shwa! Following which a tall and sturdy figure rushed out from the blood-colored pillar of light. Golden-eyed blood zombie. This figure was the golden-eyed blood zombie that had gone to the underground cave to absorb the flood dragon's blood. However, the aura emitted by the golden-eyed blood zombie was extremely terrifying. It was not any weaker than Yen Quan's. This was the aura of a half-step king. Who would have thought that after absorbing the flood dragon's blood, the golden-eyed blood zombie would advance from the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm to the half-step king level? Furthermore, it had only taken such a short time. After being stunned for a moment, Lu Ming was overjoyed. Golden-eyed, kill them! Lu Ming pointed at the Mo clan members. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and pounced towards the Mo clan members. Not good, block it, block it. The Mo clan head's face changed drastically. Ha ha ha! The heavens want your Mo clan to die. Die! How could Yen Quan miss this opportunity? He laughed heartily and attacked the Mo clan members. Devour! Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline again, and a powerful devouring force was used on the Mo clan members. Boom! Boom! 2 explosions sounded, following which screams rang out. Some of the Mo clan members who were only at the 1st or 2nd level of the martial ancestor realm were directly killed by the terrifying energy. Even those with higher cultivation were greatly shaken. Chapter 333. Under the combined attacks of Yen Quan, Golden-Eye Blood Zombie, and Lu Ming, the 100-sword battle formation of the Mo family collapsed. 7 or 8 martial ancestor realm 1st and 2nd realm experts were instantly killed. Not good. Run, run. At this moment, the Mo family head was terrified as he roared crazily. The 100-sword battle formation had been broken, and the other side had 2 half-step king realm experts. There was no need to fight. If they stayed, they would definitely die. After the Mo family head roared, he turned into a ray of light and fled crazily into the distance. You want to leave? No one can leave. Yen Quan roared as he chased after the Mo family head. In a few breaths, he caught up with the Mo family head. Yen Quan! The Mo family head roared as he launched a frenzied counterattack. However, the difference between an ordinary martial ancestor realm 9th realm and a half-step king was obvious. In just a few moves, the Mo family head was beaten until he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. Die! Yen Quan shouted as he grabbed the head of the Mo clan's patriarch and twisted it, twisting his head off. Ha ha ha, kill, kill, kill! Yen Quan roared with laughter as he continued to chase after the others. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the other side, Lu Ming's long spear was constantly thrusting. Streaks of spear radiance shot out and pierced a few martial ancestor realm 3rd and 4th realm Mo family martial artists into sieves. The golden-eye blood zombie's body flashed rapidly as it waved its claws and tore the Mo family martial ancestor realm experts into pieces. This was a massacre. The Mo family martial ancestor realm experts were as weak as babies in front of the golden eye blood zombie and Yen Quan. Even if there were some who managed to escape, they would be caught and killed. Lu Ming did not have the slightest bit of mercy. The Dark Moon Empire and the Burning Sun Empire were at war and were originally enemies. Moreover, it was the Mo family who wanted to take his life first. Since they were enemies, there was no need to show mercy. Being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Kill! Lu Ming held his long spear and fought while bathed in blood. He had broken through to the fourth realm martial ancestor realm. Martial ancestor realm experts were no threat to him. Little bastard, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. A seventh martial ancestor realm elder from the Mo family roared as he charged towards Lu Ming. Roar! The 9 dragons' bloodline roared, and a terrifying devouring power acted on the old man, causing his body to slow down. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over, the long spear piercing through his heart, creating a large hole. A one-hit kill. Then the essence blood and bloodline power all flew into the 9 dragons' bloodline's mouth. In the sky above the Mo family, screams rose and fell. Not far away, the Mo clan's martial masters, warriors, and even those with lower cultivations were frantically fleeing in all directions. Lu Ming did not kill these people. These people hadn't seen Lu Ming's bloodline evolve, and they posed no threat to him, so there was no need to kill them. At this moment, Su Tiancheng fell into a deathly silence. Countless people were hiding in their homes, trembling. After a while, the screams stopped. The dozens of martial arts grandmasters from the Mo family were all killed. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared. Blood, qi rose from his body, and his body turned red. However, his eyes were even more dazzling. Mo Ying stood there in a daze as she scanned her surroundings. Corpses came into her sight, and her eyes were filled with complicated emotions. In this short period of time, her life had undergone earth-shaking changes. These people were the elders of the Mo family that she respected. However, she suddenly found out that these people were just using her. For a moment, she found it hard to accept. Lu Ming did not speak. He just stood there quietly. After a while, Lu Ming said, "Miss Mo Ying, I'm leaving. What are your plans?" Although Mo Ying had seen his bloodline evolve, he could not do such a thing as killing Mo Ying to silence her. Mo Ying's body trembled, and she seemed to have come to her senses. She squeezed out an ugly smile and said, "Brother Lu, I plan to leave the Yin Moon Empire and travel the world." Lu Ming nodded and said, "That's good too." Lu Ming knew that Mo Ying held a grudge against him. After all, Mo Ying was a member of the Mo family. Lu Ming had killed so many people from the Mo family. It was normal for Mo Ying to hold a grudge against him. Therefore, Lu Ming did not invite Mo Ying to go with him. "Brother Lu, we'll meet again if fate wills it," Mo Ying said softly. She glanced at the Mo family, then turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. "Ha ha, little brother, I can't bear to part with you." At this moment, Yen Quan appeared beside Lu Ming. "No, I'm just lamenting. Sometimes fate is unpredictable," Lu Ming said with a smile. "That's right. Fate is unpredictable. That's why we have to cultivate martial arts to break the shackles of fate and fight against the heavens." Yen Quan grinned and said, "Little brother, this time it's all thanks to your help that I was able to escape. If you have any requests, feel free to ask. As long as it's within my means, I'll do my best." Lu Ming shook his head and said with a smile, "Senior, you're being too polite. It's just a coincidence." "That won't do. In my life, I've always repaid kindness with kindness and hatred with revenge. Otherwise, I won't feel at ease. This time, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to escape and would have been refined into the Inuit Devil Lord, sinking into oblivion forever. This is a great favor, and I have to repay it," Yen Quan said stubbornly. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. To be honest, Yen Quan's combat strength was extremely powerful. It would be a lie to say that he did not want to ask Yen Quan for help. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming said, "Senior, please stay by my side and help me for a period of time. Is that possible?" "All right. I'll stay by your side and help you for 10 years. After 10 years, we'll be even. How about that?" Yen Quan said. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Senior." The current situation in the Burning Sun Empire was complicated. With Yen Quan's help and the Golden Eye Blood Zombie, Lu Ming had the strength to protect himself. Only then could he become a true overlord in the Burning Sun Empire. He would also have the strength to contend with the 10 Directions sword faction. One had to know that in the Burning Sun Empire, a half-step king was the strongest. The Burning Sun Empire had not produced a true king for several hundred years. Yen Quan grinned. In fact, Yen Quan was also extremely curious about Lu Ming. At such a young age, not only was he extremely powerful, but he also had a powerful existence like the Golden Eye Blood Zombie by his side. Yen Quan had lived for so long, but this was the first time he had encountered such a person. "Senior, to be honest, I'm actually not from the Inuit Empire, but from the Burning Sun Empire. Moreover, the Burning Sun Empire and the Inuit Empire are currently at war. I wonder if Senior would mind?" Lu Ming said. "War between the 2 empires? It just so happens that the Inuit Empire's royal family is despicable and shameless. They tried to assassinate me. I'm just about to settle the score with them. Heading to the Burning Sun Empire and killing the experts of the Inuit Empire is exactly what I want." Yen Quan laughed. "All right, then let's go," Lu Ming said. Subsequently, the Golden Eye Blood Zombie and Yen Quan turned into a ray of light and disappeared, heading towards the Moon City. On the way, Lu Ming roughly explained his identity and the current situation. Chapter 334. Yen Quan was not from the Een Moon Empire. He was an outsider who had traveled to the Een Moon Empire a dozen years ago. During that time, he had met a top expert from the Een Moon Imperial family and the Mo family's previous family master. The 3 of them had a good relationship back then. However, the Mo family's previous family master and the Een Moon Imperial family's previous family master were ambitious. They had secretly poisoned Yen Quan and then sealed him under the Mo family's ground. They wanted to refine him into a Een Moon demonic leader. They had been sealed for more than a dozen years. If Lu Ming had not encountered this matter by chance, he would not have been able to escape the fate of being refined into a Een Moon demonic leader. Along the way, Yen Quan's expression suddenly changed slightly as he revealed a bitter smile and said, "This old man has been suppressed for more than 10 years and has suffered heavy injuries. Earlier, I forcefully unleashed my secret technique. Now that the secret technique's duration has passed, I need to find a place to heal." "Senior, healing is more important," Lu Ming said. They found a secluded place. Yen Quan sat down cross-legged and started to heal his injuries. Lu Ming asked the Golden Eye Blood Zombie to patrol the surroundings while he sat down cross-legged. He had devoured a large amount of blood essence, and now it was time to refine it. Half of it was absorbed by his bloodline, and the other half was converted into true qi. There were dozens of martial ancestors from the Mo family. Among them, there were a few martial ancestors of the 8th realm and the Mo family's family master, who was a martial ancestor of the 9th realm. How strong was the blood essence? Lu Ming's cultivation rose rapidly. One day later, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th realm of the martial ancestor realm. However, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried, he could not break through. Lu Ming knew that his cultivation had risen too quickly, and his true qi was not pure. His foundation was not stable, and he needed time to improve. Lu Ming then used the remaining blood essence to improve his bloodline. However, after refining all the blood essence, his 9 dragons bloodline was still at the 1st realm of the king bloodline. It was too difficult to improve his bloodline. At that moment, Yen Quan was still healing his injuries. His body was emitting a scorching red aura as he nurtured his body. Yen Quan's recuperation took 7 days. After 7 days, Yen Quan opened his eyes. "Senior, how do you feel?" Lu Ming asked. "After being suppressed for more than a decade, there are simply too many hidden injuries all over my body. It'll be difficult for me to make a full recovery in a short period of time. However, I've managed to stabilize my condition for the time being. It shouldn't be a problem for me to exert my full strength during the battle. As for the other hidden injuries, I should be able to make a full recovery soon." Yen Quan said. "That's great," Lu Ming said with a smile. After that, the 3 of them continued their journey. With their speed, it only took half a day to return to Full Moon City. Of course, on the way, Lu Ming put on his mask again and returned to the appearance of Tianyan. "The Marquis is back." When the Scarlet Blood cavalrymen in charge of patrolling the camp saw Lu Ming, they cried out in pleasant surprise. Then, the news of Lu Ming's return spread throughout Full Moon City at a crazy speed, causing a huge sensation. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 figures shot through the air at an extremely fast speed. It was Autumn Moon and Xian Yinqing. "Young master." Seeing Lu Ming, Autumn Moon was incomparably excited. She wasn't afraid of being shy and threw herself into Lu Ming's arms. Tears flowed down like pearls, and she cried like a pear blossom in the rain. Young master, you're finally back. We saw the traces of the battle at the place where Golden Eye was cultivating. We thought you. Ooh, it's great that you're back." Autumn Moon cried loudly. Strings of tears flowed down, wetting Lu Ming's clothes. "Silly girl, your young master is blessed. How could something happen to him so easily? Moreover, I can't bear to part with my family's Autumn Moon." Lu Ming stroked Autumn Moon's hair and said softly. Only then did Autumn Moon feel a little better. She left Lu Ming's arms, but her eyes were red and tears were still rolling. On the side, Xian Yinqing gritted his teeth when he saw this scene. He didn't say anything. "Humph, you're so comfortable. You're so warm and soft as soon as you come back." After a while, Xian Yinqing gritted his teeth and said, "Xiao Qing, now that my arms are empty, do you want to try?" Lu Ming blinked and smiled. "Try your head. It's good that you're not dead." Xian Yinqing continued to snort coldly. "Haha, I still owe you a favor. How can I die before I complete it?" Lu Ming laughed. "Humph, it's good that you remember." Xian Yinqing snorted again. At this time, Hua Ying and the other Qi Xia cavalry warriors appeared one by one. Then it was Ming Meng, Miang Cheng, and the other 2 siblings. "Greetings, Marquis." When they saw Lu Ming, they all bowed. "No need to be so polite. Let's go back to the camp." Lu Ming waved his hand. On the way, Yen Quan saw the majestic Qi Xia cavalry, and his eyes flashed with a strange light. However, Lu Ming frowned, because he found that the entire camp was heavily guarded and the atmosphere was very heavy. Did another big battle happen recently? "Huaying, how's the situation? Did another big battle happen? I feel that the atmosphere in the camp is not right." When they arrived at the camp, Lu Ming asked, "Marquis, something big happened." This was Hua Ying's first sentence. His expression was very heavy. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows and looked around. He found that Ming Meng, Miang Cheng, and the others all had heavy expressions. Lu Ming had a bad premonition and asked, "Tell me, what happened?" "Marquis, the Ghost Moon Saber sect was destroyed." Hua Ying replied, "What?" Even with Lu Ming's calmness, his body shook violently and his eyes showed disbelief. The Ghost Moon Saber sect was one of the 5 great sects of the Blazing Sun Empire. It dominated the northern part of the Blazing Sun Empire and was incomparably powerful. How could such a powerful force be annihilated just like that? Even if the 10 Directions Sword sect attacked with all their strength, they might not be able to take down the Ghost Moon Saber sect. What the hell is going on? Lu Ming took a deep breath to calm himself down. Marquis, 10 days ago, the Een Moon Empire sent out 2 million troops to invade the territory of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect sent out a large number of experts to resist. However, they never expected that, at this time, a large number of experts from the omnidirectional sword sect would launch a surprise attack on the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. At the same time, a portion of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect had already surrendered to the omnidirectional sword sect. They attacked the Ghost Moon Saber Sect from the inside. Afterwards, the 10 Directions Sword Sect sent out many experts to attack the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's experts together with the Een Moon Empire's experts. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect was caught off guard and their experts were all killed. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect was completely destroyed. Hua Ying explained. So that's how it is. I understand. This was a trap set from the beginning. Lu Ming suddenly understood. Obviously, the 10 Directions Sword Sect had cooperated with the Een Moon Empire long ago. Therefore, the Een Moon Empire's army attacked. Their goal was to attract the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's experts so that they could prepare to attack the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. Unfortunately, last time, the Een Moon Empire had suffered great losses because of Lu Ming's sabotage. They did not attract many Ghost Moon Saber Sect's experts. Therefore, there were assassins who tried to assassinate Lu Ming. Moreover, there were people from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion among the assassins. After thinking about it, everything became clear. 10 Directions Sword Sect. You 10 Directions Sword Sect. Chapter 335. Marquis, the annihilation of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect has shaken the entire Burning Sun Empire. We're in the north, not far from the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. We're afraid that the Decimo Sword Sect will attack us, so we're on high alert. Hua Ying explained. After the annihilation of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect, the Een Moon Empire's army has moved south and occupied a large part of the Burning Sun Empire's territory. I guess that's what the Decimo Sword Sect promised the Een Moon Empire. They're really a bunch of traitors. Ming Meng gritted his teeth. Then, did the Decimo Sword Sect make any new moves during this period? Lu Ming asked. Not yet. Hua Ying said. Pay attention to the news from the outside world. The Decimo Sword Sect's actions have shaken the entire empire. The other sects will definitely join forces. This isn't good news for the Decimo Sword Sect. So, the Decimo Sword Sect will definitely make a big move. Lu Ming analyzed. At this moment, Ming Meng's expression changed slightly. He moved his hand and a jade token appeared. This was 1,000 miles voice transmission talisman. Usually, a general would have one to send messages. When Ming Meng saw the message from the 10,000 miles sound transmitting talisman, his body shook violently. His face suddenly became incomparably pale without a trace of blood. How could this be? Ming Meng roared. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Brother Ming, what's going on? Lu Ming asked hurriedly. He had a bad feeling in his heart. The Sky Suppressor rebelled. He led the army to break into the imperial capital and flatten the palace. The emperor was killed. Ming Meng said in a trembling voice. What? Ming Meng's words were like a bolt from the blue. Most of the people present, including Lu Ming, were shocked. Lu Ming, Hua Ying, and the others' faces turned pale. The Sky Suppressor, the Decimo Sword Sect. Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging. The Sky Suppressor couldn't have done it alone. Needless to say, the Decimo Sword Sect was behind all this. Traitor! Traitor! How dare the Sky Suppressor? How dare he? Hua Ying roared hysterically, his eyes red. He was a member of the imperial family. He almost went crazy. The Sky Suppressor's banner is to eliminate the incapable emperor and rebuild the Burning Sun Empire. Haha, how shameless. Ming Meng laughed in anger. Father, mother. Lu Ming's first, Lu Yuntian. How were Lu Yuntian and Li Ping doing in the general hall? At the thought of this, Lu Ming was burning with anxiety. Master, master, master and madam, and the others. By the side, Chiu Yu grabbed Lu Ming's arm tightly. Her entire body was trembling slightly and she was extremely worried. Big Brother Ming, is there any other news? Imperial family's emperor is alive, 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 alive? Lu Ming forced himself to calm down. He sect, king from the sect. Ming sect. According to the news, the sky-suppressing king actually attacked. His Majesty and the experts of the royal family fought back with all their might. In the end, the 8th prince escaped with a group of people. However, after the 8th prince escaped from the royal capital, there was no news of him. Ming Meng said, Hua Qi escaped. Lu Ming's eyes lit up with a glimmer of hope. If Hua Qi escaped, he would definitely bring Lu Yuntian and Li Ping with him. Then, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping might be fine. 10 directions, sword faction. If anything happens to my parents, I swear I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Marquis, what should we do now? From now on, my Zhenyu army will listen to the Marquis. Ming Meng cupped his fists and knelt on one knee. Good. Lu Ming agreed without hesitation. Marquis Champion was of a higher rank than Ming Meng. It was normal for him to lead the mountain suppression army. Everyone listened to my order. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and began to give the order. Please give your orders, Marquis. Hua Ying, Ming Meng, and the others knelt on one knee. Full Moon City is located in the north. The Inuit Empire is in the north and the Shifeng Sword Sect is in the south. It is very unfavorable for us. We should not stay here for long. Ming Meng, you will lead the mountain suppression army to the east and head to the Wang Immortal Pass. The Wang Immortal Pass is easy to defend and difficult to attack. It is a natural stronghold and has always obeyed the orders of the royal family. We will not ally ourselves with the Shifeng Sword Sect. Once we reach the Wang Immortal Pass, we can ally ourselves with the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and fight against the Shifeng Sword Sect. Lu Ming ordered. He knew that the Burning Sun Empire was in chaos. There would definitely be a great war in the future. Yes, Marquis Champion, Ming Meng said. Also, 30,000 red blood cavalry will follow me to the imperial capital and save the 8th prince, Lu Ming ordered. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Yes, Hua Ying and the others accepted the order loudly. Marquis, you can't. The Shifeng Sword Sect is full of experts. It is too dangerous. Ming Meng's expression changed drastically as he objected. Although the red blood cavalry was strong, they could only be used as vanguard. If the Shifeng Sword Sect sent out experts to assassinate Lu Ming, it would be dangerous. The others also hesitated. Don't worry. I will kill every Shifeng Sword Sect that I see, Lu Ming said coldly. Rumble. At this moment, a loud rumbling sound came from outside. Report. There is a large army coming from outside. A soldier came to report. It must be the Shifeng Sword Sect. The Shifeng Sword Sect is finally here. I knew that they would not leave us here. Ming Meng's expression changed. Good timing. Qi Xie cavalry, follow me into battle, Lu Ming ordered. Yes. Hua Ying and the others accepted the order loudly. Rumble. Not long after, Lu Ming rode on the red blood scaled wolf king, followed by Xian Yinqing, Chiu Yu, the golden-eyed blood zombie, Yan Quan, Hua Ying, Ming Meng, and the rest. He led 30,000 red blood armored cavalry out of the military camp and arrived outside Full Moon City. In front of them, smoke and dust filled the air. A majestic army appeared in their line of sight. Black war horses, black armor, and black weapons. Between the heavens and the earth, a black torrent of steel spread over. A large flag with a divine sword embroidered on it fluttered in the wind. That is the Ghost Iron Army of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. It seems that the Ghost Iron Army has already joined the Shifeng Sword Sect. Ming Meng's expression changed. That large flag was the flag of the Shifang sword sect. Lu Ming nodded. After the Ghost Moon Saber sect was destroyed, some of the army under the Ghost Moon Saber sect had joined the Shifang sword sect. This was normal. Rumble. The Ghost Iron Army stopped a few miles away. Their aura was heavy and dense. Looking at their numbers, there should be no less than 100,000 people. Shwa! Shwa! A few figures flew out from the Ghost Iron Army and hovered in the air above Lu Ming and the others. There was a total of 3 people, an old man and 2 middle-aged men. They all carried battle swords on their backs. With one look, one could tell that they were experts of the Shifang sword sect. The 3 of them emitted an extremely powerful aura. A peak 8th martial ancestor realm and 2 peak 7th martial ancestor realm. Chapter 336. The 3 men from the Decimo sword sect glanced at Lu Ming and the others before fixing their eyes on Lu Ming. "You're Tianyin?" the leading old man asked. "That's right," Lu Ming said indifferently. He wanted to see what they were up to. "Tianyin, you've repeatedly gone against the Decimo sword sect and killed our geniuses. Do you know what you've done?" The leading old man stared coldly at Lu Ming. "Do I know what I've done? I haven't even told you that I've killed your bastards. How can I know what I've done? What's wrong with that?" Lu Ming replied indifferently. He didn't take them seriously at all. "You!" The leading old man's face turned pale, and he emitted a cold, killing intent. After a while, he calmed down and waved his sleeve. "Tianyin, there are no eternal enemies in the world. There are only eternal interests. Today, I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. As long as you lead the Red Blood Cavalry and submit to the Decimo sword sect and make a blood oath to be loyal to us, I'll consider letting you go. All the crimes you've committed in the past can be written off." After the old man finished speaking, everyone understood what he meant. Now that the Red Blood Army was powerful and famous in the Inua country and the Scorching Sun country, the Decimo sword sect was going to recruit Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered. "You want me to let you go? Who do you think you are? You're just an old bastard. Do you really think you're a big shot? Well, are you done talking nonsense? If you're done, you can die." Lu Ming glanced at the old man and lost his patience. "Little bastard, since you refuse a toast, I'll kill you today. After killing you, the Red Blood Army will still belong to the Decimo sword sect. Die." The old man's face darkened completely. He shouted and slashed out with his sword. This slash revealed the old man's strength of the 8th martial ancestor realm. It had the power to break mountains and rivers. It was extremely shocking. "Oh no, be careful!" Ming Meng shouted. "Young master, get out of the way." Marquis. On the autumn moon, Xian Yinqing, Hua Ying, and the others were all shocked. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, it was impossible for him to be a match for a martial artist at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. But Lu Ming rode on top of the crimson blood-scale Wolf King, motionless. "Die." The old man revealed a ferocious expression. The sword light became even more resplendent as it rapidly slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Seeing that it was about to behead Lu Ming, the old man was overjoyed. "What kind of peerless genius is that? What kind of genius is that? What kind of genius is that? You're still going to die in my hands." But as soon as he thought this, he saw a slap coming from beside Lu Ming. Bang! When this slap landed on his sword light, it was as if the sword light was made of tofu and instantly shattered. The old man was stunned. Ming Meng, Autumn Moon, and the others were also stunned. "It's just a fly making a big fuss here. It's so annoying." Yan Quan appeared beside Lu Ming and said indifferently, "That slap just now was naturally from Yan Quan." Who are you?" "I'm an elder of the Decimo sword sect." "How dare you?" The old man from the Decimo sword sect was stunned for a moment before he shouted. But before he could finish, Yan Quan slapped him again. Slap. No one could see how this slap was delivered. It was too fast. They only saw a blur before they heard a crisp slap. Then they saw the old man from the Decimo sword sect cry out in pain as he was sent flying. In the air, his head was like a watermelon as it exploded with a bang. Red and white matter splattered everywhere. Ming Meng and the others almost bit their tongues as their eyes almost popped out. An expert at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm was considered a top expert in the Blazing Sun Empire. In the 5 major sects, he was definitely a superior existence. His status was even higher than an ordinary golden-robed elder. Ordinary golden-robed elders were only at the martial arts Grandmaster realm. An expert at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm was slapped to death with a single slap. That was too shocking. The old man beside Lu Ming was actually such a terrifying expert? Previously, when Ming Meng and the others saw Yan Quan, they had only guessed that he was an ordinary martial arts grandmaster. They had never expected him to be so terrifying. Then, they looked at Lu Ming with even more respect. How did Lu Ming manage to have such a person by his side? The remaining 2 burly men from the Decimo sword sect were scared out of their wits. At that moment, they shouted and turned to run. "You want to run away in front of me? How is that possible?" Yan Quan laughed coldly as he threw out a punch. Boom! Boom! 2 bursts of fist force shot out. The 2 burly men at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm were drowned by the fist force. When the fist force disappeared, there was nothing left of the 2 burly men. Yan Quan had easily taken care of 2 experts at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. Once again, everyone was dumbfounded. Only Lu Ming was an exception. What a waste, what a waste. Lu Ming was heartbroken. Yan Quan's punch had even burned their blood essence. How could Lu Ming not be heartbroken? Those were 2 experts at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. The commotion here naturally shocked the Ghost Iron Army several miles away. Oh no, Tianyan has made his move. Kill them all. Of course, there were experts from the Decimo sword sect in the Ghost Army. At that moment, they roared and led the army to charge at Lu Ming and the others. Charge, destroy them. Lu Ming shouted coldly, "Roar, roar, roar." The crimson blood scaled wolves howled, and their roars shook the sky as they charged at the Ghost Army. Their aura was so strong that it shook the heavens and the earth. Oh no, the mounts are frightened. Charge, beast, hurry up and charge. The howls of the 30,000 crimson blood scaled wolves frightened the mounts of the Ghost Army and caused their formation to become unstable. In a short while, the crimson blood scaled wolves had reached them. Boom! The 2 armies slammed into each other. At that moment, the difference between the 2 armies was obvious. The Ghost Army was like a piece of paper, while the crimson blood scaled wolves were like a blade. As soon as they collided, the Ghost Army was torn apart, and this gap was rapidly expanding. Hold on, you trash! An expert from the Decimo sword sect shouted. What are you shouting for? At this moment, Yan Quan's figure appeared beside him. Ah, help! Just as he was about to shout, his head was chopped off by Yan Quan. Yan Quan leaped through the army and killed the martial arts Grandmaster expert. No one could stop him. A half-step king. Only a half-step king could stop him. It was simply cheating to kill a half-step king. The difference was too big, and it was no longer something that could be solved by numbers. Unless there was a battle formation like the Mo family and dozens of martial arts grandmasters, they would be able to resist. Roar! Above Lu Ming's head, the 9 dragons' bloodline floated. With a loud roar, a terrifying devouring power erupted. Immediately, the power of bloodline and blood essence of hundreds of Ghost Legion soldiers were devoured. Wherever Lu Ming passed, corpses were left behind. This was a one-sided battle. The Ghost Army could not stop the crimson blood scaled wolves at all. Chapter 337. I surrender! I surrender! Finally, someone from the Ghost Iron Legion shouted. throwing away his weapon and jumping off his horse. I surrender too. With the first, there was naturally a second, third, 10th, 100th. The Ghost Iron Legion originally belonged to the Ghost Moon Saber sect. It was already good enough that they didn't have any enmity towards the Shurfang Sword sect. How could they be loyal? Seeing that the situation wasn't right, they naturally surrendered. Those who surrender will be spared. Lu Ming shouted, his voice resounding throughout the battlefield. Those who surrender will be spared. Ming Meng, Hua Ying, and the others also shouted. This time, more and more people surrendered. Large groups of people jumped off their horses and knelt on the ground. In the army, the people of the Shurfang Sword sect saw that the situation was hopeless and wanted to escape, but they were all killed by Lu Ming and the others. In this battle, the 100,000 Ghost Iron Legion was destroyed without any effort. Ming Meng, I'll leave the surrendered Ghost Iron Legion to you. Bring them to the Wangxian Pass. They will be a powerful force in the future. Lu Ming ordered. Yes, Marquis. Ming Meng cupped his fists and accepted the order. On the side, Myongcheng, Pearl, and Ming Peak had a complicated expression. This young man who used to cultivate with them in the Star General Hall had now completely surpassed them. Now, even their father had to listen to Lu Ming. However, they didn't have the slightest bit of jealousy. They only felt happy for Lu Ming and encouraged themselves. Qi, Xia Cavalry, follow me to the imperial capital to rescue the 8th prince. Do you dare? Lu Ming waved his long spear and shouted, Dare! 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 The 30,000 Qi Xia cavalry roared. Good! Since you dare, then we will break through all the passes and kill our way to the imperial capital. If God blocks us, then we will kill God. If Buddha blocks us, then we will kill Buddha. Lu Ming shouted, Who is the Marquis? If God blocks us, then we will kill God. If Buddha blocks us, then we will kill Buddha. The 30,000 Qi Xia cavalry felt their blood boiling as they waved their weapons and roared. At this moment, even Ming Meng, a veteran of many years, felt his blood boiling. He wished he could follow Lu Ming and kill to his heart's content. But he understood that he had more important things to do. Charge! Lu Ming waved his long spear. The crimson blood-scale wolf king let out a long howl and turned into a gust of wind, charging forward. Beside him, Mid-Autumn Moon, Xianyanqing Yen Quan, and the golden-eyed blood zombie followed, closely behind. Charge! Immediately after, the howls of wolves rang out unceasingly. The 30,000 Qi Xia cavalrymen followed Lu Ming and charged forward. It's windy. Ming Meng muttered to himself as he watched the 30,000 Qi Xia cavalrymen leave. Immediately after, he also began to take action. He gathered his men, ordered some items, and led an army of more than 100,000 to the east, towards the immortal Gazing Pass. The crimson blood-scale wolf's speed was as fast as the wind, and it was not a problem for it to travel 1,000 miles in an hour. In a few hours, they had traveled 1,000 miles. Some of the cities along the way did not dare to obstruct the mighty Qi Xia cavalrymen in the slightest. Their journey was smooth and unobstructed. After passing through dozens of big cities, they quickly approached the Yutong Pass. The Yutong Pass was a famous pass in the north of the Burning Sun Empire. The pass was surrounded by steep mountains that were thousands of meters high. The Yutong Pass happened to be in the middle of two peaks. It could be said that the Yutong Pass was guarded by one man against 10,000. In history, the Yin Moon Empire had conquered many cities in the north, but they were all blocked outside the Yutong Pass in the end. Now, the general guarding the Yutong Pass was called Wan Xiu. He had a cultivation of the 6th martial ancestor realm and led 120,000 soldiers to guard the Yutong Pass. He dominated dozens of big cities and could be said to be a big shot with great power and influence. Moreover, he had long since joined the Shurfang Sword sect. Thus, his prestige was even greater. In the entire Burning Sun Empire, he was considered a top figure. Wan Xiu had a hobby. He liked to set up banquets on the walls of the Yutong Pass and invite famous people to come. Just like this, standing on the walls of the Yutong Pass, overlooking the vast land and listening to the flattery of others, he felt like he was the ruler of the world and had thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. This feeling fascinated him. Today, he set up a banquet on the walls of the Yutong Pass and invited more than 10 city lords and martial experts of the nearby big cities to come to the banquet. Several tables were set up on the walls. Congratulations, General Wan. Congratulations, General Wan. A pot-bellied, middle-aged man raised his wine cup and congratulated Wan Xiu. Patriarch Shen, what's the good news? Wan Xiu asked, even though he already knew the answer. Haha, General Wan is so humble. Everyone knows the current situation. Not long ago, the Shifang Sword sect destroyed the Ghost Moon Saber sect. A few days ago, Sky-suppressing King broke into the imperial capital and killed Hua Jingxing. Now that there is a change of dynasty, it is certain. Now the Sky Evil sect and the Shifang Sword sect have joined forces and occupied the imperial capital. Now, only the Mystic Essence Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley can rival the Shifang Sword sect. But in my opinion, the Mystic Essence Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley are no match for the Shifang Sword sect. When the time comes, the Shifang Sword sect will unify the Burning Sun Empire and become the ruler of the world. As a trusted subordinate of the Shifang Sword sect, General Wan will prosper day by day. Isn't this worthy of congratulations? The pot-bellied, middle-aged man laughed. Yes, Patriarch Shen is right. When the time comes, General Wan will rise to the top. Don't forget about us. At the banquet, other people also flattered Wan Xiu. This made Wan Xiu feel a little smug. He stroked a few strands of his sparse beard and couldn't stop smiling. Rumble. Suddenly, a dull rumbling sound came from the ground. The wine on the table started to sway slightly. Everyone's expression changed. Report. At this moment, a soldier in armor came to report quickly. What happened? Wan Xiu asked. General, there might be an army coming from the north, the armored soldier reported. An army is coming? How is it possible? The Ghost Moon Saber sect has been destroyed. Now, the north is under the control of the Shifang Sword sect. Could it be the army of the Yin Moon Empire? Wan Xiu's eyes moved as he pondered. Impossible. I heard that the Yin Moon Empire and the Shifang Sword sect have an agreement. They won't attack now. Then whose army is it? Wan Xiu's eyes kept moving. General Wan, there is another army in the north. That is the Crimson Blood Army, led by the Marquis Champion Tianyin, and the Mountain Suppression Army, led by Ming Meng. Could it be them? A city lord of a big city guessed. Hearing this, other people's expressions changed greatly. Tianyin? Could it really be Tianyin? It is said that the Crimson Blood Army led by Tianyin is extremely powerful and invincible. The Yin Moon Cavalry is as weak as tofu in front of them. If it really is Tianyun's Crimson Blood Army, we should run for our lives. Another big city's city lord cried out in horror. Why are you panicking? People always like to exaggerate. In my opinion, Tianyun and his Scarlet Blood Cavalry have been exaggerated. What do you mean by invincible? They've just won a few battles by luck. Moreover, even if it is true, so what? In front of the Yutong Pass, even the strongest army can't break through. Tianyun's Crimson Blood Army can only obediently retreat in front of my Yutong Pass. If he wants to attack, I will let him die without a burial place. Guards, set up the defense. Wan Xiu was calm and composed. He sneered and gave the order. Soon, the Yutong Pass was filled with armored soldiers. That's right. The Yutong Pass cannot be broken through. I worried too much. The city, lord of a big city, let out a long breath. Rumble. The rumbling sound became louder. The whole world seemed to tremble. Roar. Roar. Chapter 338. There were countless crimson, blood-scaled wolves. Each one of them was tall and strong, and each one was filled with killing intent. 30,000 crimson blood-scaled wolves, in addition to 30,000 martial master knights, gathered their auras together. That kind of aura was simply earth-shattering, like a tsunami a few hundred meters high, sweeping through the heavens and the earth, as if it could destroy everything. Wan Xiu's pupils dilated, and he showed a terrified expression. This is the Crimson Blood Cavalry. His voice was trembling, and his face was pale. Cold sweat poured down from his forehead. The other castellans were also trembling, and their faces were pale. They were full of confidence a moment ago, and thought that Yutong Pass was unbreakable. But when they saw the situation in front of them, their confidence collapsed. The crimson blood-scaled wolves were too terrifying. Wan Xiu had said that the outside world was exaggerating about the crimson blood cavalry. Now they only wanted to shout, "What exaggeration?" They were obviously looking down on the crimson blood cavalry. "Block it! We must block it!" Wan Xiu shouted at the top of his lungs. Then he turned around and ran away. "Wait for me." The other castellans also turned around and ran away. Since all the generals had left, there was no suspense in this battle. Yutong Pass's dangerous terrain could not stop the crimson blood-scaled wolves. The crimson blood-scaled wolves originally lived on the plateau, and running in dangerous terrain was like running on flat ground. Half an hour later, Yutong Pass was flattened, and the crimson blood cavalry whistled through, heading straight for the imperial capital. The crimson blood cavalry had great endurance, and after running for half a day, they stopped to rest once. 3 days later, the crimson blood cavalry had run for tens of thousands of miles and were getting closer and closer to the imperial capital. Rumble, 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 rumble. "There are cavalrymen coming." Huang said, "Could it be the Shifeng sword sect?" Someone guessed, but the answer was soon revealed. Horses neighed in front of them, and the crimson blood-scaled wolves' chi shook them, causing them to fall off their horses. Lu Ming and the others were speechless. This army's fighting strength was not that great, and there were not many of them, only about 10,000. Was it really the Shifeng sword sect that had sent them? Was it a joke? Lu Ming led the crimson blood cavalry and stopped and did not attack. After a long while, the troops in front were finally organized. A few burly men wearing iron armor rode out on green scale horses. "Who are you? How dare you block our way?" A short and stout man glared and shouted angrily. They did not recognize the crimson blood-scaled wolves' cavalry. That's right. Unless the soldiers were near the border, it was normal for the soldiers near the imperial capital to not recognize the Qi Xia armored cavalry. "I want to ask, who are you? How dare you dare to block me?" Shouted and shouted, 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 shouted Crimson of the King, Blood we. Crimson, Crimson Blood King with King. Kings, Royal Imperial Orders, Orders, Crimson Blood Kings. The Blood Emperors. Crimson, Crimson Man. Crimson Blood. Wolves, scaled wolves' eyes. Cry Crimson, Crimson, blood scaled. Crimson, blood crimsons. Cry Cricker, cried the short and fat man's eyes were filled with vigilance as he asked, "Speak, who are you people? Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." "Kill. Leave the generals in front alive." Lu Ming roared as soon as the short and fat man finished speaking. Roar, roar. Wolf howls resounded as the crimson blood-scaled wolves began their charge. Without the slightest suspense, the Qi Xia cavalry charged forward, and this army of 10,000 men was completely annihilated. Some died in battle, some fled, and some surrendered. The generals in the lead were all captured alive. You are the Qi Xia cavalry?" At this time the short and fat man seemed to remember something and shouted in horror. "Your reaction isn't slow. All right, speak. Where is the 8th prince and the others?" Lu Ming stared at the short and stout man and asked coldly, You are Tianyin? The short and stout man's body kept trembling, and his eyes were filled with fear. Speak, Lu Ming coldly shouted. I'll talk, please spare my life. The short and fat man screamed. Speak. Lu Ming's killing intent burst out, and it was incomparably cold. I'll talk. We received news that the 8th Prince and his men are hiding in the East River mountain range. We were ordered to encircle and annihilate them. We are only one of the armies. There are many other armies that set out earlier than us. The short and fat man shouted. East River mountain range? Lu Ming's eyes showed a trace of anxiety. He shouted, Lead the way, let's go to the East River mountain range. The short and fat man naturally did not dare to disobey. He immediately led the way, and the Chi-Siak cavalry galloped towards the East River mountain range. The East River mountain range was not very far from here. With the speed of the crimson blood-scaled wolves, it was only 1,000 miles away. The East River mountain range was not very famous. Although it was vast, the mountains were not very high, and it was not very dangerous. There were also no powerful demonic beasts, and even ordinary people could step into it. There was a small hill surrounded by an army. There were at least 10,000 people surrounding the hill, and it was impenetrable. In the air, there were also more than 20 experts standing in the air. Hua Qi, I advise you to surrender. Don't make any useless struggles. You're doomed, and your fate is sealed. In the air, a big man with a battle sword on his back shouted, That's right, Hua Qi, and the others were on the hill. There were about 2,000 of them, and all of them were in ragged clothes. Some of the bloodstains had not dried yet. It was obvious that they had gone through a fierce battle. Hua Qi stood at the front of the hill, and beside him stood a dozen middle-aged men and old men. Each of them had an extremely powerful aura, like a mountain. They were the only experts left in the imperial family. Behind them were 2 figures, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. At this moment, the 2 of them were extremely haggard. Their faces were pale, and their bodies were weak. Lu Yuntian had lost his cultivation, and Li Ping was an ordinary person. The 2 of them had been escaping with Hua Qi and the others for a few days, and one could imagine how much hardship they had suffered. 8th Prince, you should escape first. With these seniors leading you, you still have a chance to escape. When you find Ming, ask him to avenge us. Lu Yuntian said to Hua Qi, Uncle Lu, how could I, Hua Qi, be the type of person to drag out an ignoble existence? Moreover, since Brother Lu has handed all of you over to me, and he is fighting alone at the border, I must ensure your safety. Otherwise, how would I have the face to face him? Hua Qi smiled and stood straight. Lu Yuntian sighed. Brother Tian. Li Ping grabbed Lu Yuntian's hand tightly. Ping, I'm already satisfied to be able to see you again. It's a pity that I dragged you into this. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping and said, Brother Tian, I'm not afraid. As long as I can be with you, it doesn't matter whether I live or die. Li Ping said. Lu Yuntian looked at Li Ping with pity and said, I believe that Ming will avenge us. One day, Ming will flatten the Shifeng sword faction. I believe so too. Chapter 339. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Hua Qi, I'll send you to accompany your damned father. The middle-aged man from Decimo Sword Sect was enraged when he saw Hua Qi ignoring him. Murderous intent erupted from his body. Decimo Sword Sect, you traitors! As long as I don't die today, I'll flatten Decimo Mountain in the future. Hua Qi's eyes flashed with murderous intent when the middle-aged man insulted his father. Ha ha ha! You think you can flatten Decimo Mountain? What a joke! The funniest joke I've ever heard in my decades of life. The middle-aged man laughed loudly. Moreover, do you think you can escape today? An army of 100,000 has surrounded the area within a few miles. My Decimo sword sex experts have sealed off the sky and the ground. You can't escape, and no one can come in, ha. The middle-aged man laughed mockingly. Is that so? Then how did I get in? Suddenly, a cold voice came from above their heads. Who is it? The middle-aged man abruptly looked up. High up in the sky, 3 figures stood in the air. One was a young man, one was an old man, and the third was a burly man shrouded in a black cloak and bamboo hat. On the hill, Hua Qi, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping trembled when they heard the voice. They hurriedly looked up and cried out in surprise. Lu Ming! Ming! The 3 figures in the air were Lu Ming, Yen Quan, and the golden-eyed blood zombie. When they approached the East River mountain range, Lu Ming led Yen Quan and the golden-eyed blood zombie to search for Hua Qi's whereabouts and point out the direction for the Crimson Blood Cavalry. They quickly found Hua Qi's group from the sky. With their cultivation, the Decimo sword sex experts didn't notice them at all. Who are you? This place is occupied by my Decimo sword sect. How dare you come here without permission? Are you courting death? The middle-aged man roared angrily. He had never heard of Lu Ming's name before. Just now he had just said that no one could enter, and Lu Ming and the rest had appeared. It was as if he had slapped himself in the face. This made him angry out of embarrassment. However, Lu Ming didn't even look at him. His figure flashed and appeared beside Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. Dad, Mom, are you all right? I'm late, Lu Ming said in a trembling voice. When he saw Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, Lu Ming felt as though a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. Before seeing Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, he was really worried that something might have happened to them. Ming, we're fine. Why are you here? Don't worry about us. Leave, Li Ping said anxiously. Mother, don't worry. Since your son is here, they won't be able to touch a single hair of yours. Wait a moment, let's go together. Lu Ming at this moment, the sword-carrying man from the 10 Directions sword sect, was so angry that his mouth was crooked. An aura that was as deep as the sea erupted from his body. It was extremely terrifying. Martial Grandmaster, Realm 9th Realm. The middle-aged man was a Martial Grandmaster, Realm 9th Realm expert. Kid, I'm asking you a question. Are you deaf? The middle-aged man said coldly, Who do you think you are? Do you think I have to answer your question? Lu Ming glanced at him indifferently. You're courting death. Lu Ming's nonchalant expression almost made him explode in anger. He roared and unsheathed his giant sword. A terrifying sword radiance slashed at Lu Ming. With this sword strike, the entire hill would be reduced to ashes. Be careful. Block it. Immediately, a dozen martial grandmasters behind Hua Qi roared and unleashed their power to block the sword radiance. There was even a martial grandmaster, Realm 9th Realm expert. He was injured and his aura was weak. He must be a top expert of the imperial family. However, a figure was faster than them. The golden-eye blood zombie appeared in front of them in a flash. He waved his hand and a claw radiance shot out. Boom! There was an earth-shattering sound. The golden-eye blood zombie did not move, but the middle-aged man was sent flying 100 meters away. How can you be so powerful? Who are you? The middle-aged man shouted in disbelief. Although he did not use his full strength, there were not many people in the Burning Sun Empire who could defeat him with one move. However, the golden-eye blood zombie did not move and ignored him. Tianyan, he's Tianyan. Someone shouted in shock from the army at the foot of the hill. Apparently, someone recognized Lu Ming. Lu Ming had stayed in the imperial capital for a long time, so it was normal for someone to recognize him. Tianyan, you're Tianyan? The middle-aged man's expression changed. Then he shouted, Tianyan, so what if it's you? I admit that the person you brought is very powerful, but do you think he can save more than 2,000 people by himself? I have 100,000 soldiers here. As long as I give the order, the army will charge. How many people can you save? As long as you leave, I will kill them all. Oh! Lu Ming said faintly. Hua Qi and the others had ugly expressions. On the hill, the other 2,000 people had heavy expressions. Eighth Prince, go with the champion Marquis first. Don't worry about us. We live and die as members of the imperial family. Yes, Eighth Prince, the champion Marquis is a peerless genius. As long as you escape, you will be able to avenge us with the champion Marquis. Eighth Prince, you go first. On the hill, the 2,000 people yelled and asked Hua Qi to go first. If we leave together. I will not abandon you all. Hua Qi said in a deep voice. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, the man with the sword on his back laughed arrogantly. Since I'm here, I will definitely take everyone out of here alive. Suddenly Lu Ming spoke. His voice was firm and it reached everyone's ears. Ha ha ha, Tianyan. I can't stop the expert you brought with you if you want to take a few people away. But if you want to take more than 2,000 people away, you must be dreaming. Ha ha ha. The middle-aged man laughed in disdain. Who said I only brought 2 people? Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? The middle-aged man was stunned. Ayo! Ayo! At this moment, wolf howls resounded through the sky. Rumble. Then the earth rumbled violently. What's going on? The middle-aged man's expression changed greatly. This is... Hua Qi was startled. Then he thought of something and was overjoyed. Kill! In the forest, shouts of killing filled the sky and the earth rumbled violently. Not good. It's the Qi Xia cavalry, Tianyun's Qi Xia cavalry. Block them, block them. At this moment, the middle-aged man seemed to have thought of something and his expression changed greatly. Block them? Can you block them? Qi Xia cavalry, listen to my order. Kill without mercy. Lu Ming let out a long howl and gave the order. Kill without mercy. The Qi Xia cavalry roared, their killing intent surging. In the next moment, shouts of killing filled the forest. The army of 100,000 was completely stunned by the sudden attack of the Qi Xia cavalry. They could not form an effective counterattack. Chapter 340. The scarlet blood-scaled wolves could walk through the forest as if it were flat ground. Their battle power didn't decrease at all. It was a one-sided battle. The sword-bearing man's face paled as he roared, "Damn it, retreat!" Retreat? Where are you going? A cold voice sounded as Yen Quan appeared behind the sword-bearing man. Old man, you want to stop me? Do you really think I'm a pushover? The sword-bearing man was enraged as he slashed out with his sword. An incomparably resplendent sword light slashed towards Yen Quan. It was even stronger than the previous one. He wanted to kill Yen Quan in one strike and escape as soon as possible. He was afraid of being entangled by the golden-eyed blood zombie. But in the next moment, his pupils rapidly shrank. Yen Quan punched out, and a fist energy, vast and incomparably hot, bombarded towards him. Pum! The fist energy smashed into the sword light and shattered it. The fist energy didn't stop as it continued towards the sword-bearing man. How can this be? How can he be so strong? The sword-bearing man cried out in shock. His voice was filled with disbelief. He had already used his full strength in the previous strike. He had planned to kill Yen Quan in one strike, but he never imagined that it would be shattered by Yen Quan's fist. How can there be so many experts by Tianyun's side? I have to block it. I have to inform the sect master about this matter. The sword-bearing man roared as he used his sword to block. Clang! The terrifying fist energy smashed into his sword, causing it to tremble. His body violently trembled as he flew back like a cannonball, spurting blood from his mouth. Half-step king, this is a half-step king. The sword-bearing man was scared out of his wits as he turned and ran without thinking. I already said that you can't leave. Yen Quan sneered. His figure was like lightning as he caught up to the sword-bearing man in a few breaths. Boom! Boom! After a few punches, the sword-bearing man let out a miserable cry as several large holes appeared in his body. He died on the spot. Kill! Attack together! Hua Chi roared. On the hill, more than 2,000 people attacked together, charging towards the Decimo Sword School's experts and the army. Corpses were everywhere. Corpses were everywhere. The smell of blood was so thick that it could not be dispersed. It was like purgatory in the human world. The golden-eyed blood zombie roared. With a wave of his hand, he tore apart a few martial arts grandmasters from the 10 Directions sword sect. He opened his mouth and roared. The rolling blood chi was swallowed by the golden-eyed blood zombie. A thick blood chi condensed on his body. Lu Ming did not attack. He stood beside Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. There was no need for him to participate in this battle. Not long after, the forest was littered with corpses. Of the 100,000 soldiers that the omnidirectional sword faction had brought with them, only a small portion managed to escape. Most of them had remained behind. That was especially true of the omnidirectional sword faction's experts. Every one of them had been killed. Lu Ming, I knew you would come. Hua Chi didn't make a move as he came to Lu Ming's side. No one else heard them. Hua Chi, I didn't expect the 10 Directions sword sect to be so bold. When I heard the news, it was already too late. Lu Ming sighed. Now that things have come to this, I can only move forward. Sooner or later, I will make the 10 Directions sword sect pay with blood. Hua Chi gritted his teeth. Lu Ming patted Hua Chi's shoulder and said seriously, Don't worry, your problem is my problem. I will definitely destroy the 10 Directions sword faction. This time, Hua Chi still brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping with him. This made Lu Ming very touched, and he had already treated Hua Chi as his brother. I believe in you. Hua Chi revealed a smile, but in the next moment his expression suddenly changed as if he had thought of something. Lu Ming, there's something important I need to tell you. What is it? Lu Ming asked. It's about the Mystic Essence sword faction. Hua Chi said. Mystic Essence sword faction? Lu Ming was puzzled. Yes, not long ago, my father received news that the Duanmu family of the Mystic Essence sword faction had already sided with the omnidirectional sword faction. These years they have been secretly working for the omnidirectional sword faction. If it wasn't for my father's spies in the 5 major sects, I'm afraid we wouldn't have found out. Hua Chi said solemnly. What? Lu Ming was shocked. Lu Ming, this matter should be absolutely true. My father originally planned to pass this news to the Mystic Essence sword faction's sect master. But before he could do so, that bastard Sky Suppressing King started to rebel. Hua Chi gritted his teeth. The Duanmu family actually sided with the omnidirectional sword faction? I should have thought of this. Lu Ming's heart rippled as he muttered in his heart. He had been suspicious for a long time. He knew from Hua Chi that the Silver Wolf Pavilion was an assassin group nurtured by the omnidirectional sword faction, and the Duanmu family's sect master had repeatedly sent assassins from the Silver Wolf Pavilion to kill him. He used to think that the Duanmu family had spent money to hire the assassins from the Silver Wolf Pavilion, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case. Not good. The Mystic Essence sword faction is in danger. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. Lu Ming, I'm also worried about this. The omnidirectional sword faction has been scheming for a long time. First, it was the Ghost Moon Saber sect with the omnidirectional sword faction spies. Then it was our imperial family, and the Sky Suppressing King was already a member of the omnidirectional sword faction. Now, the omnidirectional sword faction will definitely use the same method to defeat the Mystic Essence sword faction. Once the Mystic Essence sword faction is destroyed, the Blazing Sun Empire will only have the Scarlet Cloud Valley left. It's only a matter of time before the Blazing Sun Empire is destroyed. At that time, the omnidirectional sword faction will unify the Blazing Sun Empire and will really suffer a crushing defeat. Hua Chi said. His tone was filled with worry. We must stop this from happening. No matter what, the Mystic Essence Sword faction cannot be destroyed. I'll send you guys to the Immortal Gazing Pass and immediately rush to the Mystic Essence Sword faction. I hope I can make it in time, Lu Ming said. Immortal Gazing Pass? All right, once I reach the Immortal Gazing Pass, I'll announce the crimes of the Omnidirectional Sword faction and the Sky Suppressing King, and gather the geniuses to oppose the Omnidirectional Sword faction's forces and army, to fight against the Omnidirectional Sword faction together. Hua Chi nodded. The two of them had reached an agreement. At this time, the battle at the scene had ended, and the army had been assembled. Let's go to the Immortal Gazing Pass. Lu Ming waved his hand. With Lu Ming and the Scarlet Blood Cavalry escorting them, the journey was smooth and unimpeded. Strangely, the Omnidirectional Sword faction didn't send out any experts to chase after them. This made Lu Ming and Hua Chi frown. The Omnidirectional Sword faction didn't send anyone to chase after them. It was very likely that the Omnidirectional Sword faction's manpower was used elsewhere. If they couldn't spare any manpower, where could they be used? Now, only the Mystic Essence Sword faction and the Scarlet Cloud Valley could be used. Everyone rode at full speed. 3 days later, they were not far from the Immortal Gazing Pass. At this time, Ming Meng had already sent out an army to welcome them. Hua Chi, then we'll split up. Lu Ming said to Hua Chi, all right, Lu Ming, I'll lead the army to support you as soon as possible. Hua Chi said, Ming, or be careful. Li Ping said worriedly, Father, Mother, don't worry. I'll be fine. Lu Ming nodded and said goodbye to everyone. Scarlet Blood Cavalry, set out with me. Lu Ming shouted. Let's go. Chapter 341. The Mystic Essence Sword sect was completely engulfed in the flames of war. Each of the 5 great academies was in an intense battle. Countless people roared. Sword chi crisscrossed, and blood splattered everywhere. At every moment, there were people dying in battle. Outside the 5 great academies, shouts of killing shook the sky. Countless soldiers in iron armor were fighting, and corpses were everywhere. Boom! Tens of thousands of meters above the Mystic Essence Sword sect, 2 dazzling sword lights clashed as if they could split the heavens apart. Tens of thousands of sword chi swept out, and the collision between the 2 forces was terrifying. Duanmu Songhai, why did your Duanmu clan betray the Mystic Origin Sword sect? The Mystic Essence Sword sect has treated you well. Sect Master Lin Shui looked up to the sky and howled, his voice filled with grief and indignation. The 2 people in the air were Lin Shui and the Duanmu clan's ancestor, Duanmu Songhai, the White Tiger Institute's dean, Duanmu Pijuan's father. It's very simple. My Duanmu clan has worked hard for the Mystic Essence Sword sect for close to 1,000 years, but we can only occupy 1 courtyard. The Mystic Essence Sword sect should have belonged to my Duanmu clan long ago. A cold smile appeared on Duanmu Songhai's aged face. Haha, so the 10 Directions Sword sect made such a promise to you. However, Duanmu Songhai, do you think that the 10 Directions Sword sect will honor their promise after the matter is settled? How can you still be so naive at your age? Lin Shui smiled bitterly. You don't have to worry about that. You can go in peace. The Mystic Essence Sword sect will definitely prosper in my hands. Also, don't think that the Crimson Cloud Valley will come to your rescue. 10 Directions Sword faction and Heaven Evil sect have gathered a large number of experts in the Crimson Cloud Valley. Now, the Crimson Cloud Valley can't even take care of itself. As long as we kill you and combine our forces, we can flatten the Crimson Cloud Valley in one fell swoop. Duanmu, Songhai sneered. Boom! Boom! The 2 of them exchanged a few moves in a row, and the space around them shook crazily. This was a life and death battle between half-step kings. Ah! Ah! Screams of agony could be heard all over the Mystic Essence Sword sect. causing Lin Xue's eyes to turn bloodshot. Every scream represented the death of a mystic essence, sword sect disciple. Lin Xue's heart was bleeding. Back when the Ghost Moon Saber sect was in trouble, Lin Xue knew that something was wrong. She called back most of the experts from the Mystic Essence Sword sect just in case. Furthermore, hundreds of thousands of elite soldiers were deployed from various cities to guard the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Sure enough, 5 days ago, the 10 Directions Sword sect launched a large-scale attack. Other than hundreds of thousands of soldiers, there was also a large number of martial arts experts. The Mystic Essence Sword sect was embroiled in a war. However, the Mystic Essence Sword sect had the home field advantage. With the 5 great academies as the base, they activated the 5 ultimate formation. With the 5 ultimate formations guarding, the 10 Directions Sword sect could not break in at all. The two sides fought fiercely for more than 4 days, but the Mystic Essence Sword sect was as steady as a mountain. But Lin Xue and the others never imagined that at this moment the Duanmu clan would rebel. After destroying the 5 ultimate formation, they joined forces with the omnidirectional sword sect to attack the Mystic Essence Sword sect. The Mystic Essence Sword sect was caught off guard and suffered countless casualties. In the end, under the leadership of Lin Xue, they fought back desperately and barely managed to stabilize the situation. High up in the sky, not far from the two of them, there were also 2 people engaged in an intense battle. The shock waves from the battle between these 2 people were not the slightest bit smaller than Duanmu Songhai and Lin Xue's. They were also 2 half-step kings. One was from the 10 Directions Sword sect, and the other was from the Mystic Essence Sword sect. The Mystic Essence Sword sect originally had 3 half-step kings. Now that Duanmu Songhai had rebelled, there were only 2 left. Other than the peak battle in the sky, there were also fierce battles going on in other places. In the Vermilion Bird Courtyard in the south, the Vermilion Bird Courtyard's Dean Yanlan and the White Tiger Courtyard's Dean Duanmupajuan were engaged in an intense battle. In the Vermilion Bird Courtyard, Mulins roared. Sword light surged and killed an expert from the 10 Directions Sword sect. By now, Mulins's cultivation had already broken through the martial ancestor realm. Moreover, it had reached a very high level. In the Azure Dragon Courtyard in the east, Zhang Muyun became one with his sword and fought an expert from the 10 Directions Sword sect. In the White Tiger Courtyard in the west, Ling Tian roared, "Duanmu clan, I swear that I will never be on the same side as you." Ling Tian roared and rushed down the White Tiger Courtyard, his body covered in blood. In the sky above the Qilin Courtyard, the battle between the 2 young people attracted a lot of attention. Many people who were in the middle of the battle looked over from time to time, because these 2 people were too famous in the Mystic Essence Sword sect. One of the 6 heroes, Feng Wuji. The other person was actually Duanmu Lin. At this moment, Duanmu Lin and Feng Wuji were in an intense battle. The 2 of them continued to attack, and their power was extremely terrifying. Duanmu Lin is too shocking. He can actually fight Feng Wuji to a draw. Some time ago, Feng Wuji had already broken through to the 4th realm of the martial ancestor realm. I didn't expect Duanmu Lin to be on par with him. Shocking, this is too shocking. Many elders and deacons of the Mystic Essence Sword sect could not help but be shocked in the midst of the battle. Duanmu Lin was a rare genius, and his cultivation speed was shocking. However, he still managed to catch up with the others who were constantly improving. Feng Wuji, this is your strength? You're really disappointing. If I was born a few years earlier, I would have trampled you under my feet. Duanmu Lin roared arrogantly. Duanmu Lin, no matter how strong you are, you're just a traitor. The world will punish you. Feng Wuji roared. What a joke. Feng Wuji, you're really ridiculous. History is written by the victors. Don't you know that? Duanmu Lin laughed loudly. The 2 of them continued to fight, and it was extremely intense. In the sky, The battle between Lin Shui and Duanmu Songhai was getting more and more intense. Duanmu Songhai, you're too naive to think that you can destroy us, Lin Shui shouted angrily. Who said it's only them? At this moment, a domineering voice came from afar. Hiss, hiss, then a hissing sound could be heard. Hearing this sound, Duanmu Songhai was overjoyed and laughed. Haha, we're finally here. Whoosh! In the distance, a fiery red light flashed like lightning. In the next moment, the light disappeared and a huge and ferocious centipede appeared in the sky. This centipede was really incomparably huge. It was more than 100 meters long and was red all over. The most shocking thing was that it even had 3 pairs of huge fleshy wings. Both sides of its body were densely packed with claws. The claws cut through the void like blades. On the centipede's back stood dozens of figures. Each of them had a strong aura like a mountain. The person in the lead was wearing iron armor, and his aura was as deep as the sea. 1,000-legged centipede, Inmoon South Guardian Monarch. Lin Shui roared in disbelief. On the giant centipede's back was the Inmoon Empire's South Guardian Monarch, In Tinjua. Ha ha ha, Lin Shui, how about we destroy your mystic essence, swords sect together? In Tinjua laughed. Despicable and shameless. You actually colluded with the Inmoon Empire. Lin Shui roared angrily. What colluding? It's just cooperation. There are no eternal enemies in the world, only eternal benefits. Lin Shui, you're a sect leader. Don't you know this? No wonder you're defeated. Chapter 342. Benefits, benefits. In Tianjua, what benefits did the Decimo Sword Sect give you? Aren't you afraid that the Decimo Sword Sect will unify the Blazing Sun Empire and become stronger and target the Inmoon Empire? Lin Shui looked at In Tianjua. Haha, it's fine to tell you. The Ghost Moon Saber Sect's territory belongs to the Inmoon Empire. In Tianjua laughed. What? The Decimo Sword Sect is betraying the Empire. Lin Shui roared. The Decimo Sword Sect had given the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's territory to the Inmoon Empire. That was 1/5 of the Blazing Sun Empire's territory. The 10 Directions Sword Sect was simply unscrupulous. Lin Shui, this is a win-win situation. All right, your Mystic Essence Sword Sect is doomed. Kill. In Tianjua ordered. Shua, shua. Dozens of figures flew out from the centipede's back and charged toward the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. In an instant, dozens of Mystic Essence Sword Sect disciples were killed. These dozens of people were all peak experts. Even the weakest was at the 6th level of the Martial Ancestor Realm. There were even 3 at the 9th level of the Martial Ancestor Realm. The moment they attacked, the situation changed. The Mystic Essence Sword Sect was at a disadvantage. In Tianjua didn't attack. His target was Lin Shui. Duanmu Songhai, how about you and I team up and kill Lin Shui? In Tianjua sneered. That's what I want. Duanmu Songhai's turbid eyes revealed a dark and cold expression. Boom! Boom! Their auras exploded and swept across the sky. The clouds in the sky were turned to dust by their auras. Kung! The high-grade 4 battle sword in Lin Shui's hand buzzed as a sword chi shot into the sky. He looked at Duanmu Songhai and In Tianjua with a serious expression. Facing 2 half-step kings, he didn't have any confidence. He knew that he had to go all out today. Otherwise, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect wouldn't survive. Kill! Kill! Duanmu Songhai and In Tianjua roared as they each attacked. Duanmu Songhai used a sword, while In Tianjua used a battle spear. The 2 attacks advanced side by side towards Lin Shui. Mysterious heaven sword art. Lin Shui let out a long cry. Her entire body seemed to have turned into a divine sword. Soaring sword will fill the air. A dazzling sword light seemed to have come from the heavens and slashed out violently. Boom! Boom! Two heaven-shaking, earth-shattering explosions resounded throughout the area. Looking up from below, one could see that the entire sky was filled with streaks of sword chi and battle spear light. The space was trembling, and it was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! The next moment, a figure retreated crazily. Due to the speed, it swept up a blast of air that was thousands of meters long. It was Lin Shui. He retreated a few thousand meters, groaned, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Shui, you are not a match for the two of us. Today you will die. Yin Tianjue sneered. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Lin Shui's eyes flashed with madness. You want to drag us down with you? Haha. Lin Shui, you think too highly of yourself. Die. Yin Tianjue laughed out loud. His aura was like a mountain as he charged towards Lin Shui again. At the same time, Duanmu Songhai also attacked Lin Shui. Boom! Boom! Another two earth-shattering explosions. Lin Shui retreated again. He coughed out blood, and his face was pale. Facing two experts of the same level, he was no match for them. He was completely suppressed. They were both at the half-king realm and had cultivated force to the limit. They were both at the peak of the Burning Sun Empire and the Dark Moon Empire. Who was weaker than the other? Lin Shui was no match for the two of them. Haha, Lin Shui die. Yin Tianjue roared. His battle spear pierced through the air and turned into a huge spear that was a few hundred meters long. He charged towards Lin Shui. Lin Shui, let me send you on your way. Duanmu, Songhai sneered. His sword light shocked the sky. Endless energy burst out from his old body. A sword light slashed towards Lin Shui. At this moment, heaven and earth shook violently. A blade light slashed over from afar. This saber beam was several hundred meters, long and black in color. The most shocking thing was that when this saber beam slashed through the void, it was accompanied by a series of shrill screams that sounded like the screams of countless evil spirits. The target of this blade light was Yin Tianjue. Ghost King Purgatory Slash. Yin Tianjue exclaimed. His expression changed as he roared. He forcefully changed the direction of the spear in his hand and blasted it towards the blade light. Yin Tianjue's body trembled slightly as he took a few steps back. Every step he took would cause an explosion in the air. Whoosh! The blade light dissipated. An old man in a black robe embroidered with a black moon appeared in the air. Old Shangguan, it's really you. Yin Tianjue said with a gloomy expression. Ghost Moon Saber Sect's old ancestor, Shangguan Ming. Lin Shui was delighted. He thought that Shangguan Ming had died in the battle after the Ghost Moon Saber Sect was destroyed. Now it seemed that Shangguan Ming was still alive. Old Shangguan, I didn't kill you last time. This time you're here to die. This is the will of the heavens. Yin Tianjue sneered. Yin Tianjue and the Decimo Sword Sect. I won't let you succeed even if I have to risk my life. Shangguan Ming's face was filled with hatred. He wanted to take revenge for the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's destruction. Shangguan Ming, you old bones. You'd better die soon. At this moment, a cold voice came from afar. Then a slender figure with his hands behind his back walked in the air. In an instant, he appeared in front of them. Qiu Wuyang. Lin Shui and Shangguan Ming's expressions changed drastically. The Decimo Sword Sect master, Qiu Wuyang, was nearby. Shangguan Ming, I know you're not satisfied and want to take revenge. That's why I didn't make a move just now. I wanted to lure you out and get rid of you together. Qiu Wuyang said indifferently. His figure flashed as he, Duanmu Songhai, and Yin Tianjue formed a triangle, surrounding Lin Shui and Shangguan Ming. Lin Shui and Shangguan Ming leaned against each other, their expressions ugly. Qiu Wuyang had planned out everything in his plan. Every step was interconnected, leaving no chance for the mystic essence Sword Sect to survive. Ah! At this moment, a long howl came from below, piercing through the sky. Lin Shuai and the others couldn't help but look in that direction. There, Feng Wuji and Duanmu Lin were fighting. However, Feng Wuji was no match for Duanmu Lin. He was covered in blood, and one of his arms had been broken by Duanmu Lin. Ha, Feng Wuji, you're not the strongest person in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. What 6 heroes of the Burning Sun? You're just a piece of trash. If I was born a few years earlier, you wouldn't have stood out. Duanmu Lin laughed as his aura surged. His cultivation had reached the 4th level martial ancestor realm. Boom! Duanmu Lin slashed out with his saber, and Feng Wuji barely blocked it. He was sent flying 1,000 meters away, and blood spurted from his mouth. Wuji! Lin Shuai was extremely worried in the sky. Hee, Lin Shuai, you've been utterly defeated. Even in the younger generation, the geniuses of the Duanmu family are enough to crush you. It's time for the Mystic Essence Sword Sect to change hands. Chapter 343. Lin Shuai's face darkened. Lin Shuai, I heard that Feng Wuji is the disciple you're most proud of. I'll let you watch him die in front of you. Qiu Weiyang sneered. At this moment, they were not in a hurry to attack. They wanted Lin Shuai to watch Feng Wuji die. This way, Lin Shuai would have a mental breakdown, and it would be easier to kill her. Feng Wuji, today will be your doomsday. Duanmu Lin's long hair danced in the wind as he exuded an aura of supremacy. His eyes shone brightly, showing his arrogance. Boom! He slashed out with his saber again. Feng Wuji tried his best to block the attack, but he was severely injured and was no match for Duanmu Lin. His body was sent flying like a cannonball. A long wound appeared on his chest as blood flowed out. Wuji! Senior brother Wuji! Countless people in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect shouted when they saw the scene. They wanted to rush over to help, but they were all entangled by their opponents and could not help. Ha! Qiu Wuyang, Duanmu Canghai, and Yin Tianjua laughed in the sky. A few figures looked up from below where Feng Wuji and Duanmu Lin were fighting. One of them was graceful. It was Lu Yao. The others were the experts of the Duanmu clan who were responsible for protecting her. Lu Yao was here to witness the rise of Duanmu Lin. At this moment, Lu Yao had a complicated look in her eyes. She was also surprised that the Duanmu clan had betrayed the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. However, she felt relieved after thinking about it. That's even better. With the Duanmu clan replacing the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, my status will be even higher in the future. Now that I've reached the 6th layer Martial Master Realm, I'll be able to break through to the Martial Ancestor Realm soon. At that time, I'll definitely awaken my King-class bloodline. That way, I'll be able to live together with Brother Lin. Lu Ming, do you see this? Brother Lin has already stepped on Feng Wuji, one of the 6 heroes of the Burning Sun. Even if you have some talent, how can you compare to Brother Lin? How can you be worthy of me? It's a pity that you're not in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and can't see the scene. If you can see this scene, how inferior would you feel? Lu Yao looked at Duanmu Lin, who was in high spirits. His eyes were bright, filled with pride and anticipation. Feng Wuji, you are the first opponent I've ever fought against. Today, I shall step on your corpse and rise to the top. From now on, I shall soar into the skies and shake the world with my name. It's your honor to be able to become my stepping stone. In the air, Duanmu Lin looked at Feng Wuji with disdain, but he was still in high spirits. Duanmu Lin, you won't have the chance. Right at this moment, a clear voice sounded out from afar. Who? Duanmu Lin's gaze turned cold as he stared into the distance. Whoosh! 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 In the distance, 3 streaks of rainbow light shot over. Who are you? You are courting death. An expert from the 10 directions Sword Sect shouted and charged towards the 3 rainbow lights. Chi! A few claw radiances flew out and tore a few sixth martial ancestor realm experts from the Shifang sword sect into pieces. Whoosh! Whoosh! When the rainbow lights dissipated, 3 figures appeared in the air. It's you? The Marquis of Champion Tianyin. Someone shouted the moment the 3 figures appeared. Everyone in the Mystic Essence sword sect, who was in the midst of a fierce battle, was shocked. They could not help but look over. The Marquis of Champion Tianyin was famous in the Blazing Sun Empire. But why did he suddenly appear here? The 3 figures who had suddenly appeared were Lu Ming, Yan Quan, and the Golden Eye Blood Zombie. The Immortal Gazing Pass was not far from the Mystic Essence sword sect. Lu Ming led 30,000 red blood armored cavalry and finally arrived at the Mystic Essence sword sect after more than a day's journey. At this moment, Lu Ming, Yan Quan, and the Golden Eye Blood Zombie were the first to arrive at the Mystic Essence sword sect. Lu Ming could not help but speak when he saw Duanmu Lin's arrogant look. Duanmu Lin's face turned serious as he looked at Lu Ming. Duanmu Lin naturally knew of the Marquis of Champion Lu Ming's name. Moreover, Lu Ming had killed the Shifang sword sect's genius, Qiu Chonglai. Duanmu Lin did not dare to underestimate Lu Ming. This guy actually came here. What about his red blood armored cavalry? Qiu Weiyang's face changed slightly. During this period of time, Qiu Weiyang knew that Lu Ming had led the red blood armored cavalry to the north of the Blazing Sun Empire to rescue Hua Qi. However, he had been busy dealing with the Mystic Essence sword sect, so he did not send anyone to deal with Lu Ming. In his opinion, Lu Ming was just fooling around. After he dealt with the Mystic Essence sword sect and the Red Cloud Valley, he could easily kill Lu Ming and his red blood armored cavalry. It's him. Lin Xue's eyes flickered, revealing a complicated expression. Tianyin, what are you doing here? Qiu Weiyang's voice came from the sky. Of course, I'm here to kill you all. Lu Ming smiled faintly. As soon as these words came out, the hearts of everyone present trembled. Come to kill Qiu Weiyang and the others? What an arrogant tone. Ha ha ha, Marquis Champion Tianyin, you are indeed heroic. However, in my opinion, you have lost your mind because of your heroic spirit. Well, it is normal for you to lose yourself in your achievements at such a young age. You still want to kill us? What a joke. How about this? I see that you are a talent. If you join me now, I can consider putting you in an important position. In the future, you can become the Marshal of the Army and guard the Blazing Sun Empire. Qiu Weiyang said. What bullshit Marshal of the Army? Do you think I care about that? Qiu Weiyang, to be honest, I am more interested in your head. Lu Ming sneered. Presumptuous, you are courting death. Qiu Weiyang's face turned cold as murderous intent burst out from his eyes. He waved his hand and a shocking sword radiance slashed down at Lu Ming. Not good. Qiu Weiyang, you are shameless. Lin Xue's face changed and was about to help. Lin Xue, your opponent is me. Duanmu Canghai moved and blocked Lin Xue. On the other side, Yin Tianjue also stared at Shang Guanming, preventing him from helping. What Marquis champion? You dare to oppose me? You overestimate yourself. Die. Qiu Weiyang's eyes were cold. However, facing Qiu Weiyang's sword radiance, Lu Ming's face was very calm as he stood there without moving. It's over. Marquis Champion Tianyin, the hero of his generation. Is he going to be killed like this? Many people sighed. No one thought that Lu Ming could survive. Qiu Weiyang was a half-step king, and only a half-step king could block the attack of a half-step king. However, how many half-step kings were there in the vast Blazing Sun Empire? At the very most, there were only a dozen or so. Now, who could save Lu Ming? Then, a scene that left everyone flabbergasted appeared. Beside Lu Ming, Yan Quan stepped out and punched out. Boom! Chapter 344. Bang! With a loud explosion, the fist energy and the sword light clashed, canceling each other out. Half-step king. That's a half-step king. Someone roared. Many people were shocked. They didn't expect that there would be a half-step king beside Lu Ming. Who are you? Qiu Guiyang's expression turned grave. Every half-step king was famous, and they were the overlords of a region. He knew every one of them, but he didn't recognize Yan Quan. Who am I? Well, it doesn't matter if I say it. I am Yan Quan. Yan Quan grinned and said, What, you are Yan Quan? Then this little bastard is the one who destroyed the Mo family and killed my son. As soon as Yan Quan's words fell, Yin Tianjue roared and looked at Lu Ming with a sinister expression. During this time, he had sent people to investigate, but they couldn't find the culprit. He only knew that Yan Quan had escaped. Now that Yan Quan had appeared in this place, the answer was obvious. Yin Tianjue, what are you shouting for? Your Yin Moon royal family is despicable and shameless. Today, I will settle this with you. Yan Quan looked at Yin Tianjue with killing intent. He took a step forward and confronted Qiu Guiyang and the others. The auras of 6 half-step kings intersected, forming a huge domain. Those below half-step king couldn't even get close. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Duan Mulin and said with a faint smile, Duan Mulin, I just said that you won't have the chance to rise. Today you will die. Tianyin, if you and I fight, both of us will suffer. I advise you to join the 10-Direction Sword Faction. Now that the 10-Direction Sword Faction is established, even if you have a half-step king protecting you, you won't be able to affect the overall situation. Duan Mulin looked at Lu Ming and said, with Tianyun's reputation, he didn't want to fight with him unless it was absolutely necessary. Both of us suffer? With just you? You really think highly of yourself. Lu Ming revealed a mocking smile. One move is enough to defeat you. Lu Ming took a step forward and approached Duan Mulin. Arrogant. Let's see how you can defeat me in one move. Great Sun Thunder Saber Slash. Duan Mulin roared and slashed out with his saber. The terrifying saber light was even more scorching than the sun, explosively slashing towards Lu Ming. Beast Dao Palm. Lu Ming whispered and struck out with his palm. A huge beast claw appeared and charged towards Duan Mulin. Bang! The beast claw collided with the saber light. The saber light was extinguished like a wisp of smoke. The beast Dao Palm's momentum did not stop. It carried astonishing power as it blasted towards Duan Mulin. How could this be? Duan Mulin yelled out in disbelief. He then unleashed his bloodline in a frenzy. Channeling all his strength, he slashed out with his saber. Block it for me. Duan Mulin let out a deep roar. The sharp saber light condensed into a sun. However, this sun was like a bubble that was extinguished by the beast Dao Palm. Bang! Subsequently, the beast Dao Palm landed on Duan Mulin's body. Duan Mulin let out a blood-curdling scream as he was sent flying over 1,000 meters away. He coughed up blood non-stop, and his entire body trembled. His clothes were tattered, and who knew how many of his bones were broken? High up in the sky, Duan Mu Songhai yelled worriedly. So powerful! Even overlords like Yin Tianjue and Shang Guanming were startled. Lin Xue's gaze was even more complicated. So powerful. Tianyin is too powerful. In all directions, Yanlan, Mulan, and the others were incomparably shocked. The battle continued, but everyone's attention was attracted to the battle. As martial ancestors, they were able to see the battle from a few dozen miles away. I've said that I'll defeat you in one move. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Impossible, impossible. Duan Mulin couldn't take it anymore and yelled. He was a peerless genius, but he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. It was a huge blow to him. Below, Lu Yao was also in disbelief. In her eyes, Duan Mulin was invincible, but he was defeated by Tianyin in one move. There's actually such a genius in this world. Even Duan Mulin was defeated in one move. The Marquis champion is indeed worthy of his reputation. Lu Yao thought to herself. She looked at Lu Ming and her eyes shone brightly. The second move is to kill you. Lu Ming chuckled and took another step forward. At the same time, his body emitted a cold, killing intent. Tianyin, how dare you? Duanmu Canghai yelled and wanted to save him. Duanmu Canghai, I'm your opponent. Lin Xue's aura locked onto Duanmu Canghai. Tianyin, we have no feud in the past. Why do you have to kill me? If you kill me, the Duanmu family won't let you off. Why do you have to seek trouble for yourself? Duanmu Lin yelled in horror. Ha ha ha, no feud? No feud? Duanmu Lin, you have a bad memory. I've said that I'll return to the Mystic Essence, Sword Sect, and kill you within 2 years. Why? Have you forgotten it so quickly? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly laughed, and his voice changed back to his original voice. What? You're... Duanmu Lin's eyes shrunk, and he was shocked. Lu Ming wiped his face and took off his disguise, revealing a handsome face. At the same time, his bones shifted, and he returned to his original appearance. Lu Ming, how could it be you? Duanmu Lin screamed hysterically when he saw Lu Ming's real face. This was too hard for him to accept. The champion Marquis Tianyin was actually Lu Ming, the Lu Ming that he looked down on. He would rather lose to Tianyin than Lu Ming. This was a blow to his heart that was 10 times, no, 100 times worse. Lu Ming is back. In the distant sky, Yanlan Mulan and the others were greatly shocked when they saw the scene. Then they were ecstatic beyond belief. Ha ha ha, this kid is actually Tianyin? This is too shocking. Yanlan laughed. How could this be? Duanmu Pujuan, who was fighting against Yanlan, shouted in disbelief. Lu Ming, you're finally back. I knew you would come back and fulfill your promise. Mulin's eyes were filled with joy. Lu Ming is back. Lu Ming is the champion Marquis. He's Tianyin. Both the disciples and elders of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect couldn't help but shout. This news quickly spread throughout the entire Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the entire battlefield. No one would have thought that the world-renowned champion Ho Tianyin was actually the same Lu Ming who barged into the White Tiger courtyard and killed Lu Yunxiong and dozens of people from the Duanmu family more than a year ago. In the end, he was forced by the Duanmu family to withdraw from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Many people still remembered the determination that Lu Ming had when he left the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the promise that Lu Ming had made. He would definitely return and kill Duanmu Lin within 2 years. Now, it hadn't even been 2 years. In just a little more than a year, Lu Ming had returned. He had returned in a shocking manner. Duanmu Lin had been defeated by him in 1 move. The return of a king. A true king, no matter where he went, no matter what identity he used, was destined to not be buried and would shine brightly. Lu Ming is back. As expected, I'm not as good as him. In the Azure Dragon Institute, Zhang Muyun sighed. Haha, I knew he would return. Chapter 345. It's really him. In the sky, Lin Xue revealed a bitter smile. At this moment, Lin Xue regretted it. Back then, he had chosen the Duanmu family and given up on Lu Ming. However, the facts had proven that he was wrong. The Duanmu family rebelled, and at the crucial moment, Lu Ming came back to rescue them. His feelings were extremely complicated. Damn it, I should have killed him back then. Duanmu Canghai's face was extremely gloomy. Among everyone, Lu Yao had the most complicated feelings and found it hard to accept. At this moment, Lu Yao's body was trembling violently. She looked at the familiar figure in the sky in disbelief. No, it's impossible. It can't be Lu Ming. How can Tianyin be Lu Ming? Lu Yao screamed incoherently. Not long ago, she was still thinking that it was a pity that Lu Ming wasn't here and couldn't see the difference between him and Duanmu Lin. She was proud that she had chosen Duanmu Lin. However, in the blink of an eye, Tianyan appeared and defeated Duanmu Lin in one move. Now, she was actually told that Tianyan was Lu Ming. This was a huge blow to her. No, it's impossible. It's fake. Everything is fake. Lu Yao screamed. Her beautiful face was distorted and became ferocious. She couldn't accept this. In the sky, Lu Ming glanced at Lu Yao casually and ignored her as if she was a stranger. Duanmu Lin, I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said softly. No, I can't die. Duanmu Lin screamed in horror as he tried his best to fly backward. Lu Ming, stop. Duanmu Songhai shouted. A powerful aura exploded from his body, and he wanted to save Duanmu Lin. However, he was entangled by Lin Shui. Yanlan, get lost. On the other side, Duanmu Pejuan also shouted and wanted to save Duanmu Lin. However, how could Yanlan let him do as he wished? Duanmu Pejuan, we haven't decided the winner yet. Where are you going? Yanlan sneered as he firmly blocked Duanmu Pejuan. Stop him! Yin Tianjua shouted. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few of the experts he brought with him charged towards Lu Ming. Die! A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a thrust, the spear radiance shot out and the two experts of the 7th martial ancestor realm were instantly killed. At the same time, the blood essence was devoured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't stop as he rushed toward Duanmu Lin. Stop him and let young Master Lin escape. The other experts of the Duanmu family rushed over, but unfortunately the strongest was only in the 7th realm of the martial ancestor realm. They were all killed by Lu Ming. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in front of Duanmu Lin. No! Duanmu Lin screamed in fear. Die! Lu Ming whispered as he thrust out his spear. Puchi! The spear pierced through Duanmu Lin's heart. Duanmu Lin's eyes immediately popped out like a dead fish. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and regret. Immediately after, the vitality in his eyes quickly dissipated. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that he would die in Lu Ming's hands. More than a year ago, when Lu Ming left the Mystic Essence Sword sect, he said that he would return to the sect to kill him in 2 years. At that time, he didn't take it seriously. He didn't think that Lu Ming could catch up with him. However, the reality was often very different from what one expected. Duanmu Lin was dead. Bam! Lu Ming swung his long spear, and Duanmu Lin's body flew out like trash. No, Lu Ming, you deserve to die. You deserve to die. Duanmu Songhai screamed, hysterically in the sky. His voice was as shrill as a ghost's. Duanmu Lin was the hope of the Duanmu family. Now that his hope had been killed, Duanmu Songhai couldn't accept it. Old man, what are you screaming for? After I left the sect, you sent people to assassinate me. I swore that I would destroy the Duanmu family. Now it's your turn. Gold-eyed, kill that old man. Lu Ming shouted at Duanmu Songhai and then ordered the gold-eyed blood zombie. Roar! The gold-eyed blood zombie let out a heaven-shaking roar. Its body emitted a dense bloody light as it pounced at Duanmu Songhai. You're courting death! Duanmu Songhai roared and slashed at the gold-eyed blood zombie. A sharp sword light shot out, intending to split the golden-eyed blood zombie in half. However, the result shocked everyone. The gold-eyed blood zombie waved its claws and tore Duanmu Songhai's sword light into pieces. The gold-eyed blood zombie continued to charge at Duanmu Songhai with lightning speed. Half-step king? Another half-step king? Duanmu Songhai cried out in disbelief. Lu Ming actually had another half-step king by his side. How was this possible? Could half-step kings be cabbages? Even Lin Shui and the other half-step kings were stunned. Boom! Duanmu Songhai circulated his sword aura and erupted with his full power. Just now he had only casually swung his sword. He thought that he could kill the gold-eyed blood zombie. That was why his sword light was easily destroyed. Kill! At this moment, Lin Shui coldly shouted. A terrifying sword aura burst out, and a peerless sharp sword light pierced toward Duanmu Songhai. Ah, Lin Shui, you sneak attacked me. Despicable. Duanmu Songhai madly roared. He was incomparably terrified as he circulated his full power to resist. Don't even think about it. Qiu Wuyang and Yin Tianjue roared, wanting to help. However, Shang Guanming and Yan Quan also made their moves. A great battle between half-step kings suddenly erupted. The entire heaven and earth suddenly erupted. Ah! An earth-shattering scream resounded through the entire mystic essence sword sect. It was Duanmu Songhai. He was facing the gold-eyed blood zombie and Lin Shui together. Moreover, Lin Shui had launched a sneak attack. He was no match for them. With one move, the gold-eyed blood zombie tore a piece of flesh from his chest. Even his bones and organs could be seen. His right hand was missing. Lin Shui's sword light had cut off his arm from his shoulder, almost cleaving him in half. However, even if he managed to dodge, he was still half dead. Ah, Lin Shui, you're despicable and shameless. You actually launched a sneak attack. Duanmu Songhai roared. Killing a traitor doesn't need to be honorable. Kill. Lin Shui's killing intent surged. She hated the Duanmu family to the bone. She erupted with her full power and charged at Duanmu Songhai. Roar! The gold-eyed blood zombie also roared and charged at Duanmu Songhai. Save me! Duanmu Songhai was scared out of his wits. He desperately tried to escape. Unfortunately, even if Qiu Wuyang and Yin Tianjue wanted to help, they were powerless. Their opponents were not any weaker than them. Duanmu Songhai was already heavily injured, and his battle strength was greatly reduced. How could he escape? In the next moment, another miserable scream resounded. He managed to dodge the gold-eyed blood zombie's claw, but he failed to dodge Lin Shui's sword light. He was cleaved in two by Lin Shui's sword. After all, he was a half-step king with powerful vitality. Duanmu Songhai did not die immediately. He screamed in fear, Sect Master, spare my life. Please spare my old bones. Seeing that I've worked so hard for the sect for so many years, please spare me. Duanmu Songhai loudly begged. He actually called her Sect Master again. He was simply shameless. Indeed, the older one was, the more one feared death. Working hard for the sect? I think you've been working hard for yourself for so many years. Duanmu Songhai, I'll personally send you on your way. Lin Shui coldly shouted. Qi! A sharp sword Qi violently slashed out. Duanmu Songhai let out a roar of despair as the sword Qi cleaved through his head, cleaving him in two. Chapter 346. Father! In the distance, Duanmu Pajuan roared. Peng! As he was distracted, Yan Lan's palm landed on his chest. Duanmu Pajuan retreated madly as blood spurted out of his mouth. Die! Yan Lan chased after him and rained down a barrage of attacks. Duanmu Pajuan was heavily injured and could only block a dozen moves before his heart meridians were shattered by Yan Lan's palm. With a loud cry, he died unwillingly. Not good. Run. Seeing Duanmu Songhai killed, Qiu Wuyang roared and turned to leave. Qiu Wuyang, you will stay here today. Lin Shui roared as she merged with her sword and charged at Qiu Wuyang. Resplendent sword Qi filled the void and blocked Qiu Wuyang's path of retreat. Shua! Shua! Two sonic booms resounded as Yan Quan and Golden Eye blood zombies figures flickered and appeared on the other side of Qiu Wuyang. Qiu Wuyang's face was gloomy as a trace of anxiety could be seen in his eyes. Damn it! Damn it! To think that I would fall to such a state today. Of all my calculations, I didn't expect that this Tianyin no Lu Ming would have two half-step kings by his side. It's all Lu Ming's fault. Damn it! Qiu Wuyang roared inwardly as his eyes spun, trying to think of a countermeasure. With Duanmu Songhai's death, The only half-step kings on their side were himself, Yin Tianjue, and another expert from Ten Directions Sword Sect. As for Mystic Essence Sword Sect side, they had Lin Shui, another half-step king, Shang Guanming, Yan Quan, and Golden Eye Blood Zombie. In terms of peak battle strength, they were already at a disadvantage and could only retreat. Otherwise, they would all die here. Bang! Run! On the other side, Yin Tianjue and Shang Guanming exchanged a move and roared, calling out to the experts he had brought, intending to escape. Yin Tianjue, let's settle this today. Where are you going? Yan Quan saw that Yin Tianjue was about to leave and roared, abandoning Qiu Wuyang and charging at him. Damn it! Yin Tianjue roared as he erupted with all his strength and tried to escape. Clang! As soon as Yan Quan left, Qiu Wuyang's sword Qi soared into the sky as the battle sword in his hand was exceptionally sharp. Boom! Even the powerful golden-eyed blood zombie was sent flying over 1,000 meters. Qiu Wuyang seized the opportunity to escape, but on the other side, an equally sharp sword Qi slashed towards him. It was Lin Shui. Qiu Wuyang, you can't escape. Lin Shui's voice was cold. Damn it! Qiu Wuyang roared and fought back with all his might. However, after a few moves, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Roar! Roar! At this moment, a series of wolf howls came from the distant ground. Rumble! The earth rumbled as countless crimson blood-scaled wolves charged over. Lu Ming's Qi Xia cavalry arrived. Kill! The Qi Xia cavalry roared and charged towards the omnidirectional sword school's army. The 10 Directions Sword Sect immediately sent out a powerful army to stop the Qi Xia cavalry. Even though this army was very strong and was made up of the elites of the 10 Directions Sword Sect, they were nothing in front of the Qi Xia cavalry. The Qi Xia cavalry could be said to be armed to the teeth. Their equipment and weapons were all taken from the Martial King storage ring by Lu Ming, and they were all of the best quality. With the addition of the Qi Xia cavalry, it was simply an army born for war. With just a few charges, the 10 Directions Sword Sect's army was scattered into pieces. As the Qi Xia cavalry charged, corpses were everywhere and blood flowed like a river. Qiu Wuyang, your plan today is destined to fail. It is impossible for the 10 Directions Sword School to rule the Blazing Sun Empire. Lin Shui stared at Qiu Wuyang. Qiu Wuyang's face was extremely gloomy, and his eyes were filled with rage. He didn't say a word as he used all his strength to block the attacks of Lin Shui and Golden-Eyed Blood Zombie, while looking for an opportunity to escape. Schoolmaster, I'll help you. At this moment, a loud roar resounded as a tall figure charged over and exchanged a blow with Golden-Eyed Blood Zombie. This person was the other half-step king of the 10 Directions Sword School. Your opponent is me. The half-step king of the Mystic Essence Sword School also chased over. Schoolmaster, hurry up and leave. The 10 Directions Sword School can't do without you. Leave this place to me. The half-step king of the 10 Directions Sword School roared as his body emitted an intense purple light. His originally tall body actually expanded once again, burning his essence blood. He is going all out. Stop him. Lin Shui roared. Kill! 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 The half-step king of the 10 Directions Sword School roared as he slashed out 3 times. The might of these 3 slashes was unimaginable, infinitely close to a king's attack. Boom! 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 Golden-Eyed Blood Zombie, Lin Shui, and the half-step king of the Mystic Essence Sword School were all sent flying several thousand meters away. Shua! Qiu Wuyang seized the opportunity and turned into a beam of rainbow light, instantly traveling 10,000 meters and disappearing into the horizon in a few breaths. Lu Ming, Lin Shui, Qiu Wuyang will sooner or later wipe out your entire sect. In the distance, Qiu Wuyang's voice was filled with killing intent. Boom! On the other side, Yin Tian used some unknown secret art and sacrificed an arm to repel the encirclement of Yen Quan and Sheng Guanming. He then turned into a beam of blood light and disappeared into the horizon. Damn it! Lin Shui roared as she set her sights on the half-step king of the 10 Directions Sword School. Although he had burned his essence blood and increased his battle strength greatly, he couldn't hold on for long before his essence blood ran out and was torn into pieces by the golden-eyed blood zombie. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he appeared in the air. Looking at the half-step king's corpse, Lu Ming sighed inwardly. The latter's essence blood had already been burned out. This was a half-step king, and the essence blood's energy was absolutely terrifying. For Lu Ming, it was a supreme treasure. Moreover, the essence blood of a half-step king was extremely condensed, and its essence dissipated very slowly. Any random jade bottle could preserve it for a long time. Before, Duanmu Canghai's essence blood had already been stored in a jade bottle by Lu Ming. He could keep it for later. Looking around, Lu Ming wiped his face and turned back into Tianyun's appearance. Red Blood Cavalry, listen to my order. Kill the 10 Directions, Sword Schools, people, without mercy. Lu Ming mercilessly gave the order, and his voice spread far and wide. Kill! Kill! The Red Blood Cavalry roared as their killing intent soared into the heavens. Kill! Lu Ming also roared as he charged toward the 10 Directions Sword School's martial ancestor realm experts with his long spear. At the same time, the golden-eyed blood zombie, Yen Quan, Lin Shui, and the other half-step kings also charged toward the 10 Directions Sword School's people. With so many half-step kings joining in, it was simply a massacre. Miserable screams rang out as a large number of experts were killed. Run, run. The 10 Directions Sword Schools, people had no desire to continue fighting. Even the school leader had run away, and the other side had so many terrifying experts. Staying behind to fight was simply courting death. They all screamed as they ran out of the Mystic Essence Sword School. The 10 Directions Sword School's attack this time could be considered a total failure. Puff! Puff! Lu Ming waved his long spear and killed a few powerful figures from the Duanmu family. Lu Ming specifically targeted the Duanmu family's people. In fact, the Mystic Essence Sword School's people were also targeting the Duanmu family's people. Even if the 10 Directions Sword School's people managed to escape, they would not let the Duanmu family's people go. Chapter 347. Chaos. The entire place was in chaos. Screams and curses filled the air. The Duanmu family members, in particular, screamed and fled frantically. Don't leave me behind. A scream was heard not far away from Lu Ming. A few figures shot up into the sky in an attempt to escape. Swoosh! Swoosh! Lu Ming's long spear jerked, and a spear radiance shot out. The few martial ancestor realm 4th and 5th realm martial artists were easily killed by Lu Ming. With a flash of his figure, Lu Ming appeared on the other side. He looked down and frowned slightly. Below, Lu Yao lay limp on the ground with a look of despair. Duanmu Canghai, Duanmu Lin, Duanmu Pujuan, the higher-ups of the Duanmu family, were killed one after another in front of her. Her dreams and future were completely shattered. Lu Ming, it's all your fault. You destroyed me. Lu Yao lifted her head and looked at Lu Ming with reddened eyes. Her eyes were filled with hatred. I destroyed you? What a joke. Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao and scolded coldly. From the beginning to the end, I've never provoked you. You're the one who's been deceiving me. And you've even taken my bloodline. When I came to the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, it was the Duanmu family who targeted me and tried to kill me. Now you are saying that I destroyed you? Are you saying that I can only let you kill me and I can't fight back? What a joke. Lu Yao, let me tell you, you only have yourself to blame for everything. Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao and said slowly. His voice was calm and there were no fluctuations in his emotions. He was just stating a fact. Only have myself to blame? only have myself to blame. Ha ha ha. Lu Yao muttered to herself and then laughed maniacally. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, two figures appeared beside Lu Ming. They were Autumn Moon and Xian Yinqing. After laughing, Lu Yao calmed down and looked at Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon and Xian Yinqing, one in a white dress and the other in a black dress, had a natural temperament. They stood in the air like peerless goddesses. Lu Yao had always prided herself on her beauty, but compared to Autumn Moon and Xian Yinqing, she was still lacking. In addition, Autumn Moon and Xian Yinqing exuded a powerful aura. When they stood next to Lu Ming, they looked like a couple of immortals. At this moment, Lu Yao's heart was extremely complicated. There was regret, resentment, and envy. Only have herself to blame. Yes, Lu Ming was right. She had only herself to blame. All of this was caused by herself. If she hadn't thought so much in the past, if she hadn't looked down on Lu Ming, despised him, and even deprived him of his bloodline because of his decadence, she wouldn't have pursued Lu Ming and stayed by his side obediently. Then, standing beside Lu Ming, the one who was envied by countless people wouldn't be anyone else but her. At this moment, she finally understood the meaning of the saying, "Don't look down on a poor young man." People would always have their ups and downs, but a low point was only temporary. As long as one didn't die, they would eventually rise. Envious of the prosperity and brilliance of others, but ignoring the brilliance and potential of those around me. In the end, it's all for nothing. Was I wrong? Perhaps I was really wrong. Lu Yao suddenly let out a long sigh. Huff! Huff! Suddenly, the true qi in Lu Yao's body went berserk. Streaks of fiery true qi rushed out from Lu Yao's body. Puchi! Then Lu Yao's body trembled and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her qi rapidly weakened until she was like an ordinary person. Her cultivation was destroyed. Lu Yao had gone through so many ups and downs in such a short period of time. Her state of mind had gone through so many ups and downs that it actually caused her to collapse and her cultivation to be destroyed. Lu Yao collapsed on the ground. Her eyes were unfocused and filled with despair. At this moment, the scenes that had happened along the way appeared in Lu Yao's mind. She suddenly realized that only the 3 years she had spent with Lu Ming were truly happy. Later on, when she pursued more, it became even more tiring. After a while, Lu Yao suddenly burst into tears. She looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, I'm sorry." "Fine." Lu Ming suddenly sighed and said, "One has to look to the side. Although the scenery in the distance is beautiful, it's just an illusion. It's like a dream flower. It's also a good outcome for you to be an ordinary person in the future." Then Lu Ming called over an expert of the Qi Xia cavalry and ordered, "Take her to an ordinary village nearby and let her live there for the rest of her life." Yes, the Qi Xia cavalry accepted the order and carried Lu Yao away in a flash. A light breeze blew and a drop of sparkling tear floated towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming opened his hand and the tear fell on his palm. "That's good," Lu Ming whispered. "What? You don't want to leave your old lover?" On the side, Xian Yinqing curled his lips and said, "Old lover?" Lu Ming smiled and said, "Aren't you my old lover?" "Me? Bah! Who's your old lover?" Xian Yinqing rolled his eyes at Lu Ming and said while gritting his teeth. However, her face was a little red. Autumn Moon blinked her watery eyes and looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. She smiled gently and said nothing. There was no suspense in this battle. In the end, the Duanmu family was almost completely annihilated, and the Shifang sword faction suffered heavy losses. Only a small number of people escaped. As for the dozens of experts that Yin Tianjue brought with him, they were all killed except for him. The 5 courtyards of the Mystic Essence sword faction were filled with ruins and corpses. The ground was dyed red with blood. The atmosphere was solemn. Although the Mystic Essence sword faction had won this battle, they had suffered heavy casualties. It could be said that the Mystic Essence sword faction's strength had dropped a lot after this battle. Due to the betrayal of the Duanmu family, the White Tiger courtyard was almost destroyed. Lu Ming walked among the dilapidated walls. Marquis Champion. Marquis Champion. The disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword faction bowed respectfully when they saw Lu Ming. They were very conflicted. Lu Ming was the same as them, a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword faction. However, things were different now. Now Lu Ming was the Marquis Champion, and he controlled the army. Moreover, he had 2 half-step kings as his subordinates. He had become an overlord of the Blazing Sun Empire, an overlord who was on the same level as Lin Shui. Lu Ming nodded in response. Marquis Champion. Lu Ming saw Zhang Muyun in the Azure Dragon Courtyard. Zhang Muyun was covered in blood, and Zhuo Yirong was beside him. Brother Zhang, you're welcome. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming was happy that Zhang Muyun and Zhuo Yirong were fine. Although Lu Ming had not interacted much with the two, Lu Ming admired their characters. Many people died. Duan Gang also died in battle. Zhang Muyun sighed. His voice was solemn and sad. Duan Gang died? Lu Ming asked in a low voice. Duan Gang was the #1 genius of the Black Tortoise Courtyard. He had once competed with them for the bronze ranking. He was a very straightforward youth, but now he had died in battle. After chatting with Zhang Muyun for a while, Lu Ming left. After walking around, Lu Ming arrived at the Vermilion Bird Courtyard. Lu Ming! Mulins called out softly as she walked toward Lu Ming. Her eyes were filled with joy. Chapter 348. Senior Sister Mulins. Lu Ming smiled and walked towards Mulins. Lu Ming, I was right about you. I haven't seen you for a long time. Your achievements are beyond my imagination. Now that you've become the Marquis Champion, should I call you Marquis when I see you? Mulins came to Lu Ming's side with a smile and teased him. After a year, Mulins's figure had become even more voluptuous. She was wearing a tight black gauze dress, which outlined a soul-stirring curve on her body. The faint body fragrance kept wafting into Lu Ming's nose. It was full of temptation. She was like a ripe peach. Senior Sister Mulins, you must be joking. In front of Senior Sister, I'm still the same junior brother, Lu Ming said with a wry smile. Mulins showed a satisfied smile, as if to say, at least you know what's good for you. Then Mulins looked at Lu Ming carefully. A trace of longing flashed in her eyes, but no one noticed it. Whoosh! At this time, a figure flew over and appeared above them. It was a middle-aged man. Marquis Champion, the sect leader, has something to discuss with you in the conference hall. The middle-aged man respectfully cupped his fists and bowed. Okay, I'll be there soon. Lu Ming nodded. Thank you, Marquis Champion. The middle-aged man cupped his fists and thanked him, then left. Senior Sister Mulins, let's talk another day, Lu Ming said with a smile. Okay, Mulins nodded. Then Lu Ming soared into the sky and went out of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. The Qi Xiak Cavalry's temporary barracks were here. Marquis, when Lu Ming came back, the Qi Xiak Cavalry saluted him. Whether it was Lu Ming or Tianyin, the Qi Xiak Cavalry did not care about them. They only recognized one person, the Marquis Champion himself. Following which, Lu Ming brought the golden-eyed blood zombie and Yan Quan to the Mystic Essence Sword Sect's meeting hall. The meeting hall of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was located in the depths of the 5 great academies. It was where the sect leader, the gold-robed elders, and the gold-ranked disciples cultivated. It was the core of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Back then, Lu Ming had stayed in the Mystic Essence Sword Sect for so long, but he had never come here. Now that he had left the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, he was here. The world was truly a wonderful place. The Champion Marquis has arrived. Lu Ming had just appeared outside the meeting hall when someone announced his arrival. Then, dozens of figures walked out of the meeting hall. The one at the front was Lin Shui, and on the right was the only remaining half-step king of Ghost Moon Saber sect, Shangguanming. On the left was another half-step king warrior from the Mystic Essence Sword sect. Most of the others were the golden-robed elders of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, as well as the deans of the Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Azure Dragon academies. Feng Wuji was also among them. "Ha ha ha, Marquis Champion has arrived. Please come in, and Brother Yan as well." Lin Shui laughed heartily as he cupped his fists towards Lu Ming and Yan Quan. His tone was extremely polite, completely treating Lu Ming as an equal. "Greetings, Marquis Champion. Greetings, Senior Yan Quan." The gold-robed elders also cupped their fists. Their feelings were complicated. Lu Ming was once a disciple of the Mystic Essence Sword sect, a heaven's pride. After entering the sect, he had set many records. But in the end, because of the Duanmu family, they had made Lu Ming leave the sect. But in such a short period of time, Lu Ming had made such great achievements all by himself. Even they had to bow their heads before Lu Ming. This was simply inconceivable. "Sect leader Lin, seniors, there is no need to be so polite," Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Yan Quan was expressionless. As for the golden-eyed blood zombie, it naturally didn't have any reaction. It followed closely behind Lu Ming. The group walked into the meeting hall and took their seats. This time, it is all thanks to the Marquis Champion's timely arrival. Otherwise, the Mystic Essence Sword sect would have been destroyed by the Decimo Sword sect. Here, I represent all the disciples of the Mystic Essence Sword sect to thank the Marquis Champion. At the head of the hall, Lin Shui stood up and thanked Lu Ming solemnly. "Sect leader Lin, you are too polite. I just don't want the Decimo Sword sect to unify the Blazing Sun Empire." Lu Ming smiled faintly. His attitude was indifferent. "No matter what, I still have to thank the Marquis Champion." Lin Shui cupped his fists again and sighed in his heart. He was a little disappointed. It was obvious that Lu Ming didn't have a good impression of them. He originally wanted to let Lu Ming return to the Mystic Essence Sword sect if possible. But now, looking at Lu Ming's attitude, it was impossible. Lin Shui composed himself and continued. "Today, I invited the Marquis Champion here to discuss the current situation and what we need to do." Lu Ming nodded. This time the Decimo Sword sect was defeated. They will definitely not let it go and will come back. Moreover, the Decimo Sword sect and Sky Fiend sect have joined hands. Plus, they have occupied the imperial capital. No one is a match for the Decimo Sword sect alone. Therefore, we must join hands with the Crimson Cloud Valley. Only then will we have the power to fight the Decimo Sword sect. The most important thing now is to rescue the Crimson Cloud Valley. Some of the experts from the Sky Fiend sect and Decimo Sword sect have disappeared. They most likely went to deal with the Crimson Cloud Valley. What do you think, Marquis Champion and Senior Shangguan? Lin Shui analyzed and then looked at Lu Ming and Shangguanming. "I have no objections, as long as we don't let the Decimo Sword sect succeed," Shangguanming said. "I have no objections either." Lu Ming nodded. No one had any objections. They immediately sent out experts to support the Crimson Cloud Valley. Lin Shui went personally, Shangguanming volunteered, and Lu Ming sent Yan Quan. The three half-step kings led a large group of experts to attack the Crimson Cloud Valley. Lu Ming entered the Temple of Paragon and began to devour and refine the essence blood. In this battle, Lu Ming had devoured a large amount of essence blood and used it all to improve the Nine Dragons' bloodline. His cultivation base had risen too quickly, and he still needed some time to polish it. Therefore, he used all his essence blood to improve the bloodline. Now, Lu Ming felt that the Nine Dragons' bloodline had reached the limit of the first tier of the King Realm. It would soon reach the second tier of the King Realm. With a wave of his hand, a jade bottle appeared. There were 9 drops of essence blood in the jade bottle. These 9 drops of essence blood were stored together, and they were incompatible with each other. They were like 9 resplendent rubies. This was the essence blood that Duanmu Songhai had left behind. He inhaled with his true qi, and a drop of essence blood flew out. At the same time, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and sucked the drop of essence blood into its mouth. Boom! After the drop of essence blood was sucked in, it was like a volcano erupting with terrifying energy. The 9 dragons' bloodline's body swelled rapidly. Roar! The 9 dragons' bloodline roared, and the sound rumbled, shaking the heavens and earth as it started to refine the essence blood. The essence blood of a half-step king contained too much energy. The endless energy was all absorbed by the 9 dragons' bloodline. Buzz! Half an hour later, the 9 dragons' bloodline shook. There was only 1 silver chakra around its body, but now a second silver chakra appeared. Second tier of the king realm. The 9 dragons' bloodline reached the second tier of the king realm. Half-step king essence blood is indeed terrifying.